Welcome to the PHLY Sixers NBA free agency special. The madness begins at 6 p.m., so we get started an hour ahead of time just to tee things up, to get you all set for what's in store for the Philadelphia 76ers, including their own free agents and the rest of the news that has been going on just over and over again. You put your phone down for 1 second and then something else happens in the NBA, none involving the Sixers, but directly or at least indirectly impacting the Sixers with news from other players staying with their specific teams that they were already with and not leaving the nest. This is the PHLY Sixers free agency special, once again presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY along with Derek and Kyle. I'm Devon Bree, the president of basketball operations, and all of you. We will be with you tonight until 7 p.m. as we break everything down, hopefully as it happens at 6 p.m. Maybe some Sixers news in there mixed in right away, because as we were talking about before the show, last year when we did this at 5 p.m. until 7, nothing happened for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Big old nothing.
Nothing in the NBA really happened last season. Last
People were
summer.
worried about those tampering charges.
Yes, they were, man. Yes, they were, but not this year, because we are hearing a lot of setting up meetings for free agents, restricted free agents, unrestricted free agents, and other players just simply staying put with their respective teams from last season as well. So a lot to talk about. We will be with you for the 2 hours here, over the span of 2 hours from 5 to 7, breaking it all down. And make sure you hit the like button, everybody. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Certainly leave your comments here in the chat. Your super chats, we will get to those as well, and we will certainly update you on all the big moves that have happened today. I also want to say this too, while you have us up, maybe you can open up your phone or whatever other device you have and go to allphly.com and check out the stories written by both Kyle and Derek, already available on the website. Derek's free agency primer right now up there on the website, and Kyle unpacking the pre-free agency period, where we are now 57 minutes away from the start of free agency. So check it out, what it means for the Sixers, both of those stories at allphly.com. So please go give it a view. All right, we got to start this one off, guys, because the main names that we're getting into for the Sixers, at least, Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, and Andre Drummond. Those are the three main names that we're focusing on. We'll give you some updates here on Dominic Barlow, Dalen Terry, Trendon Watford as we go along. Ben Simmons? Huh?
You guys are not going to do this to me.
Not going to do that.
I know Derek is loading up.
I'm dying.
I know he's trying to gaslight me.
Bring the Fresh Prince home. Come on.
Jesus Christ with this stuff.
All right, but let's start
Go
off.
catch a fish. How about that?
Let's start off first, though, Derek, with what's available to the Sixers as far as financially, what they can spend. For the people who haven't heard it over the last week, as we've talked about this a little bit, certainly in the offseason, but just to refresh everybody, if you're new listeners and you viewers that haven't been in here, Derek, can you just let everybody know what the Sixers have available to them to spend this summer?
Yeah, it's not a lot. You don't have a ton of flexibility. You've basically got about $184 million committed to 11 players. That gives you about $17 million in space under the luxury tax, and about $25 million in space under the first apron, which most of the moves that you would use to add players outside of the Sixers would hard cap you at that first apron. So you've got about $25 million to work with to get 3 players under contract. One of those 3 players could possibly be Kelly or Quentin. Possibly 2 of them could, but if you do that, then you're pretty much out of the running for using your mid-level exception. So it will be interesting. We've debated a little bit whether or not you would prioritize bringing Quentin back or prioritize bringing Kelly back if you're going to bring one of the 2 back. I think for the most part, Kelly is the one who at this stage of his career is probably more likely to accept a contract that I'm going to be somewhat willing to accept, whereas I feel like Quentin is still kind of in search for that first real big contract of his NBA career, so he's probably a little less willing to settle, especially if he's going to be the 4th guard in the rotation and may not get the touches that he wants. You also just need someone who can play on the wings.
Well, now that being said, he was connected to the Lakers. Who,
yeah, you're not
boy,
get a ton
not
of
a lot of
there,
touches in that backcourt.
They're not going to let Quentin cook.
No, they will not.
But you need Kelly's position more, and there's just not a whole lot of wings out there that you can go out there and pursue. So I do feel like Kelly is slightly more likely, but like I said, you bring back one of them, maybe in the $8 to $10 million range, Then take that mid-level exception, which again can be up to the $15 million starting salary, maybe split that into 2 players, although one of the 2 players that maybe you would have targeted and Jock Landale already off the board. But I think that's probably the most likely path. But it's, like I said, it's not you don't have a ton of flexibility. And there is still, I would love to keep that mid-level exception clean because then you could theoretically use that to take in a traded player. But I don't think they're going to be able to fill out the roster while keeping that.
No, and it puts you in a situation where we've talked about the main names coming in are John Collins, Dean Wade, and Mamu. I think are I rank them in whatever order you want to, but they're the 3 biggest names. And that maybe says a lot that those are the biggest names and that they're the most gettable names. And part of the problem is while those guys they each bring a little something different to the table, bring some skills or a positional need that could benefit the Sixers. I think once you start talking about, hey, I got to pay this guy, $15 million a year over several years, if not 4 years in some cases, that's a steep price to pay for a group of guys that while they're, serviceable, even pretty good role players, I'm not in love with giving out a 4 for $60 to a guy that's all these guys are late 20s, going into their early 30s. Yes, they're still technically in their primes, but whatever. And as we look at some of as you mentioned, Landale was a potential target as maybe not even the mid-level, but if you get into the biannual exception, if you could have convinced him to take a 1-year minimum even, and then you look at your phone, it's they way overpaid to keep him. They gave him a 1-year, was it $14 million to stay in Atlanta? Mm-hmm. So he's off the board. Precious Achiuwa, who I know Devon has frequently said, hey, take a look at him, is going back to Sacramento for 2 for 11.5. And so front court options that we would all say, and I think you would all look at as hey, those are guys lower down the priority list. You come back to them later if you strike out on other guys. Well, those guys are already starting to come off the board. They're staying with their teams. And so if you lose those backup options, it does put you in a position where if you feel like one of these quote-unquote priority guys on a mid-level is gettable, you might just have to pay the highest price possible. And that's a bad, bad place to be as a negotiator. And over top of all of this, as Derek laid out the lack of flexibility they have, are those 2 huge contracts for Joel Embiid and Paul George. And those will continue to be a huge story for this organization. We're seeing a lot of big names and big money moving, and I think the reality of what has happened in the NBA as they continue to change the rules is if you're making more money than you should be or that is feasible to build a great team with in the NBA, you're not getting moved for much. Ja Morant basically got swapped out for Portland's bad money. They've been trying to trade Jeremy Grant for just about anybody. So they're in a tough spot, and they can make the team better. You're going to hope for development from VJ, Maxey, Phylon, these young guys certainly, but it's a tricky situation for Gansey, Jameer, and the rest of these guys.
So as you say that, you're going to use your words. How do you make the team better? Well, with the limited resources that you do have, of course, the in-house growth of VJ Edgecombe and hopefully the LeBaron Phylon pick hits. But how do you make this team better, both in-house and by the acquisitions of the outside name?
You have to split the difference a little bit. So we've had a lot of people when Dean Wade comes up, right? There are some people who are hey, this guy's been a solid NBA player, 5th starter type, not top of the rotation, but somebody who's been useful in Cleveland. But you look at his stats and it's a guy who's scoring, 5-6 points a game. He's someone who does not put his stamp on a game offensively. He's a spot up guy who is relying on other people, who's going to play his role. He's going to play good defense. I think people have pushed back on the defensive part. Up until the Knicks series where the Cavs just got smoked as a team, the defense against Cade Cunningham was really helpful in getting them to where they got in the playoffs. So he'd be a good add. The problem is it's hard to sit here and argue hey, Dean Wade at $15 million a year over multiple years is, a good contract. What you want is to get the Dean Wades or the Dean Wade type players of the world when they're 2nd-round picks, when they are on cheap contracts and they overperform those deals. And then maybe you get to the point where hey, you reward those guys. But because of where they're at because of some of the role players they've let go, frankly, that they had in-house, guys like Isaiah Joe, who got traded in a salary move this summer. You just don't have a lot of young and ascending players who are ready to contribute right now, or at least that you're not confident in. Like, you hope that Justin Edwards steps forward. You hope that Dominic Barlow can get a little bit better. But they've let opportunities slip to keep young guys. And so they are at the point where you got to hope that you get the right veteran in. And then it really does come down to, like, VJ is going to have to take a big leap. You are going to have to get better health luck for Joel and PG. You are going to have to find a way to manage Maxi's minutes so he can still be maximally effective without, playing 40 minutes a night and putting himself in injury risk. And Phylon's got to contribute, right? We like the pick, but let's see what it looks like when he's on the floor.
But you're also probably going to have to address free agency, a veteran point guard at somewhere to take, because what if Phylon is not ready as quickly as you would like him to be, and not just in the Grimes mold, but also a real ball handler that can come in. Derek, how do you make this team better this offseason?
I mean, I don't think you're going to completely reimagine it with what you have. I think Kyle's right. You look for players who are additive and not overly expensive. I've been on this kick for a while. I'm not super concerned. This is going to sound weird. I'm not super concerned with the players you sign today or even bring back today. I'm really concerned with trying to get tradable contracts so that in the next trading period, you're not completely hamstrung like you are right now. Like right now, you've got your big four, and then nobody makes more than $4 million. So you're seeing half the NBA get traded right now, and you have to completely sit on the sidelines because you have absolutely nothing you can move to help facilitate a deal. I want players making $6 to $14 million. I want 2 or 3 of them. I want them to be not negative contracts. And if you can get someone like, people are thumbing their nose at Dean Wade, but he is additive. He will help you as a role player. He will fit a position of need. If you can do that while getting someone like that, really getting 2 players like that, in addition to bringing maybe Kelly back, to me, I think that's a win. Is it going to be a Sixers won the offseason? No. Is it going to set you up to win 50 games in a deep playoff run? No, probably not. Not unless you get outlier health from Joel Embiid. But will make you more flexible for the next major trading period of the NBA calendar. And I think the Sixers really need to prioritize that.
I would add a couple of things here. One, I think you could, if you really wanted to, if the front office came in, looked around and said, we don't want to be in the Paul George business anymore.
Yes.
There are certainly moves that you can make. I don't think you would have to. We are at the point where he's got 2 years left. Mm-hmm. He was very good when he was on the floor, admittedly, not for as many games. And then by the time you get to the second round, was not good enough in the second round along with the rest of them. But he's been productive enough that you could find partners for that type of player, right? Like I've seen some people throw out, for example, like, talk to the Pelicans, right? And you take Jordan Poole's expiring contract and yeah, sure. If you're just focused on, I want this guy off the team and I want the money off the books sooner than later, there are moves like that to be made. Now, are there moves like that to be made that are going to actively make your team better? They're going to help you compete this season? No, I don't think so. Like the Grizzlies trade's a great example. The Grizzlies don't care whether they compete this year. Yep. So they can trade Ja Morant and swap him out for Jeremy Grant and say, we're resetting the culture. We're, Ja's time here is up. Send him to Portland. They take the talent bet. We're getting out of that business. The Sixers are not going to just say, we're throwing away this season. And so they have to walk this very narrow path where you don't want to put, as Derek said, bad contracts on the books, but you also don't want to overload on older veteran players when it's the Tyrese and VJ future that you're trying to set up. And so there are a lot of different priorities you have to juggle here. And for it to be the first offseason for a new president of basketball operations, we have to see exactly how urgent he wants to be and they want to be, because we kind of know how Daryl Morey operates. We had night 1 of the draft, night 2 of the draft, they sat and they basically did nothing. So we'll see exactly what Mike, Jameer, and these guys have in store today.
All right, so for all the people who are just coming in here, we're already 15 minutes in. We're rolling, and we want to thank everybody for joining us. Welcome into the PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy Special. Derek, Kyle, Devon, and Bree, all of you. We see the Super Chats. We'll get to those as well. Starting things off, talking about the Sixers. Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, Andre Drummond. What is their future with your basketball team? Will any of those 3 be back? Could they all be on the move? Certainly, but is there a chance for any of those of the trio to return. Do you want any of those three back? How much do you want them back and for what? And we'll get into certainly other things. But because news was so big in the NBA today, we'll continue with the Sixers, we can't ignore the two huge ones that really went down today.
LeBron's still controlling the league all these years.
At 41 years old, he's still controlling the league. Number one, let's start there. LeBron James, according to Shams, breaking it earlier today, will not return to the Los Angeles Lakers. Golden State, as we've discussed over the last couple of days, could they be in? Could they be out? We mentioned the Draymond Green portion of it where he opted out of his contract. They're very close friends. There's been rumors that maybe Steph Curry and LeBron James may want to play together at some point before their careers come to an end. Well, there's a very good chance that, Derek, that might happen because of this. So there's also been news out there of where our good buddy Jake Fisher with Mark Stein from the Stein Line says maybe a reunion with the Heat where the Heat are going to check in. You also have Chris Haynes, who from Chris Haynes has been in a lot of different places, but let's say NBA TV. I know he does a lot of work there. Chris Haynes says the Cavs are also going to at least reach out, and part of that was James Harden maybe tweaking his new contract a little bit to allow LeBron James to return to Cleveland. So, Kyle, I'll start with you. LeBron James, it was a surprise, but not really a surprise because not really a surprise that he was going to be out there after a while, that he would be a free agent.
So real quickly, while we're on the Cavs, because you just mentioned them, our buddy Jake Fisher also just said, barring a last-minute change, Dean Wade is going to test the market in unrestricted free agency. So that is a suggestion that at least Cleveland is preparing for the possibility that they're going to have to battle with some people for him. So on LeBron, on the one hand, I think there was a little bit of like, you can't fire me because I quit. Because it does seem like the Lakers are looking more toward, this is now Luka's team. We're going to build it around him. How do we do that? How do we use our various resources? They hadn't talked to him formally until, what was it, yesterday, I think it was reported. And
you give Austin Reeves
you pay Austin Reeves all that money. It's like, if LeBron had really wanted to come back, I think he would have come back. But I think he saw what was happening. He's like, you know what? I have other opportunities out there. I have Golden State appears to feel pretty good about where they're positioned for all this. I think Cleveland certainly would feel good about the appeal to come home again, and maybe they can get Bronny in the door there, and you can do that all again.
His contract is guaranteed, by the way.
Yes,
good job,
good
Dad.
fatherhood right there on that one. So I'm not stunned because there were some rumors leading up to this. I will probably still, if he does end up going to Golden State, for example, I will need some time to process that, even though he's, a million years old. This is not like when he teamed up with D-Wade and Bosh at the peak of his powers down in Miami. But LeBron and Steph together would just be like, the whole appeal of Team USA, and watching that was like, man, you're never going to get to see LeBron and Steph together. Well, spoiler alert, we just might in a little bit.
I did love this tweet. LeBron James has instructed Rich Paul to talk to everyone around the league who is interested in him playing for them and come back to him with the options so he can make his decision. So he told Rich Paul to do his job. That's what every free agent is supposed
Mike
to do.
Gansey saying, we'll look at the best player available who fits our team. Okay, you're going to do your job on draft night. Would you welcome the LeBron experience at this age to Philadelphia?
Oh, God, it would be cinema. Yeah.
I would be all in.
Absolutely.
Without a question. Well, number one, because we know he'd have to take the mid-level.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get a better mid-level player, even at his age, than LeBron James. Unfortunately, I think the chances are near zero.
Also,
we'll say.
it hits our biggest bias in the media. Make the team interesting. That would be perfect for us.
As you said, it's always about
the
us.
amount of clickbait we could throw out there if LeBron was. I'm just joking, everyone. I'm just joking. But LeBron being in town,
go trade for Bronny, bring him in, draft Bryce.
Should the Sixers trade for Bronny?
Should they draft Bryce?
Comment now. Yeah. So I think we can pretty much dismiss that idea. I'm sure he already knows he probably already knows the team specifically. Yeah. He definitely knows the short list of teams that he's actually interested in.
Especially when one of his close friends opts out of $26 million.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much kind of tells you the story there.
Hey, Rich Paul, go out there and see if anybody is interested in me playing for them.
Good call. Yeah, you might have to pay him a little bit for him to do that, but still, that's what that is. And the second big one, as far as the news goes today, again, one that was really picked up steam as far as rumor-wise over the last week, and that was Kawhi Leonard. Was he going to go to Dallas? Could he go to Miami? And certainly to the Toronto Raptors. And I believe that as we talk about Mark Stein and our buddy Jake Fisher, our two friends of the show, they reported on this about a week ago on the Substack, and others start to really pick up some steam here. And as it came down today, Kawhi Leonard traded to the Toronto Raptors for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 2 seconds as well to return to the place that he helped win a championship. So, Derek, I mean, this one did come out of left field, though, for a lot of people, especially with everything that was going on with the investigation in Los Angeles, and for it to actually happen.
Which they still haven't announced.
They still have not. They still have not. Your thoughts on the trade, the deal itself, how surprised were you that this actually took place? And then does it shift some balance of power now with Toronto, who was a sleeper team last year, now is a contending team in the East?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, what do you end up going for? Was it 2 picks and a swap? 2 first and a swap?
2 picks, a swap,
and obviously
some
Ingram.
seconds.
Yeah,
and Grady Dick as well.
I'm a little bit surprised that Kawhi was able to command essentially 3 picks, especially, and we've been talking about how picks have gotten more and more valuable. Look, Kawhi's fantastic. He had a truly fantastic season, great bounce-back season, played 65 games, played at a borderline MVP level. I'm not sure if 35-year-old Kawhi with those knees is someone that I would want to be giving up 3 first-round picks for, especially if you're not like knocking on the door as a contender. Clearly, they will be very good next year. Better than the Sixers, unless everything breaks right, a chance to make some noise in the playoffs.
And they were a 6 seed last season.
I still don't think I have them as like an inner circle contender. Unless you're an inner circle contender, I just don't think I would give up 3 first-round picks, especially, like I said, for a guy who, great success coming back from the injury, had tipped Dr. Glashow, hopefully we're saying that, about a different client of his next year. I'm not sure that's the gamble I would want to make, but there's also some sentimentality there, like he's a legend in Toronto for very obvious reasons. It's a risky one, but they made a risky choice with him before and it worked out. So,
yeah, so I think I get the risk. They want to try to make the leap from solid playoff team to we have a chance to fight with the big boys. And, you know, whether they can or not, we'll wait and see. I really get it from the Clippers side because they're like, look, we've already moved into a position where Zubats got traded, Harden got traded, we were old, we were injured, Paul George left. And so now this is basically the final domino to retool, reset. And the good news for the Sixers is that 2028 pick, that 2029 swap, while there's a big chance anytime you're in LA and you have picks to move, you got salary cap space, that's a market where teams can get a lot better and a lot more talented in a hurry, more so than other markets. But that being said, you still have to go out there and do that. And right now it's Darius Garland, Mathurin, Wagler.
Brook Lopez is back.
Brook Lopez, right? Like there's Brandon Ingram, of course, and Ingram had a good year when he was healthy in Toronto. But it's not a team that in the Western Conference you're like, that's a guaranteed playoff team. Like it's a team that if they're going to move out of the like, boy, we could lose this pick and it could turn into, you know, a top 8 pick, a top 5 pick, there's a lot that needs to be done between now and when that pick comes due in 2028. So I think Kawhi moving on, while it does give them flexibility over these next 2 years to try to retool the team, I would imagine this year they just say like, you know, we'll add some guys in like some smaller names in free agency, but we don't need to go crazy. And maybe you get some lottery luck. And then next summer you try to make a push because you're like, hey, we don't have our pick in 2028 no matter what. Mm-hmm. Let's just go for it. And we'll sign the biggest names we can in free agency. But if you're the Sixers, that pick is now potentially even more valuable because there's so much uncertainty surrounding them until those picks are due in 28 and 29.
Because who knows how long they stay on. Like you just said, who knows how long you stay on with Garland, Ingram, as far as their contracts go. And those young players, who knows exactly what happens with that group. But as you do look at it, though, in the Eastern Conference, again, from a a good playoff team to a better team, maybe not in the contending conversation, but you're still looking at him with Scotty Barnes, another all-star player who was all NBA consideration, as he should have been. And while Emmanuel Quickley has been injured, he is still a decent point guard for that group. CMB had a fantastic rookie year.
You've talked about a lot, who was a really solid guard, and now that you got a Kawhi like playing off of him will help him 100%. Quite a bit.
You also have RJ Barrett, who, while I may not be the biggest fan, he had a pretty good season for them when he was out there in uniform. Jakob Poeltl at the 5 when he was healthy. He was a solid big for what they need. And then you go to the bench, Shed, maybe CMB if he's still coming off the bench. You also add in Allen Graves, who they picked up as well. That's not a bad 7-8 that they have on that team, depending on what you're looking at as they go along. And look, he'll probably play still close to 60, 65 games, maybe try to get him to that threshold where he can qualify for the end of season awards. But that's not a bad team in the Eastern Conference when you have a superstar like that, and then you team him up with another all-star, all NBA level player in Scotty Barnes with a really good coach. And what they've done, that's not a bad move if you know what you're getting in terms of games played and can you hold things together when he's not out there. Brandon Ingram missed a decent amount of the games last year. So it's pretty similar. You just give up, again, Ingram for Leonard, and Grady Dick didn't play all that much because he hasn't really panned out the way that Toronto hoped. So it's essentially the same team with a much better player in Leonard over Ingram.
Yeah, no, look, it's interesting because I do, like I said, I think Toronto's going to be a heck of a defensive team.
Yeah.
Whether or not they will score enough, whether or not they'll still stay healthy is going to be a concern. You know, I do, from the Sixers' perspective, because again, the Sixers have the 2028 Clippers pick and then the 2029 swap. So how quickly, because, you know, they've got Garland and now Ingram. That's about $85 million tied into two people. Then their books are pretty clear for next summer. So next summer would be where they would sign or trade for somebody who then impact the first of those two Sixers picks that they could have. Can you retool your team that quickly? You know, if you try to have some cap space next summer and a whole lot of cap space in the summer of 2028, it's hard to. We saw this with the Paul George year. It's hard to clear the decks for a free agent signing and build out enough depth that you can then contend with. So as long as you can keep the Clippers in sort of like that 40 to 45 win range, you have pretty good draft odds. Obviously, you would like for them to be better, but I think there's probably less of a chance of them being a 50-win team now than if they had just kept Kawhi and maybe even give him a 1 or 2 year extension. It is interesting whether or not you would have preferred them to keep Kawhi if you're a Sixers fan, because on the one hand, I feel like with Kawhi, especially if you give him like a 2 year extension, there's more volatility in where they could land. Like, right. So they could have had a 30-win season if Kawhi gets hurt. Whereas now I feel like they're probably comfortably in that 30 to 45 range, but I'm not sure I see a great way of them getting into that 50-win range, which means you should have some pretty decent lottery odds for those two picks.
The other thing I want to hit on here on the Toronto side of things is just the Eastern Conference. Between Toronto, I think has clearly gotten better here, right? When you turn Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick, obviously the picks, but those two players into Kawhi, you're a better basketball team. The Heat went and got Giannis, and while we have to wait and see, you know, how that all fits, the shooting right now on that team is, I don't think going to be up to par, but they have Giannis and Bam and Wiggins and like the core of a really long athletic defense that's going to get out and transition score. Those are two teams that you're basically in the range of, right? Admittedly with injuries, you know,
all three teams that you're talking about.
Yeah, you're in the range of like, that's where you're at in terms of the Eastern Conference pecking order, regular season standings, all that. Well, those teams got appreciably better. They got significantly better, I think, in both cases, at least significantly more talented. And so that's where we circle back to the start where it's like, hey, you really only have, unless you were to make a surprise, like splash Paul George trade, something out of left field, you really only have incremental moves. And so that's where you come back to, there's got to be a lot of internal development over the offseason. Like there needs to be some significant progress from VJ. They need LeBaron Philon to give them a shot in the arm as a sixth man. They're going to need Dominic Barlow. We're going to talk about him.
Yep.
They need him to evolve as a player, to chip in more as a rebounder, to hit more of those spot up threes that We've all seen what it looks like. We all know what our expectations are, but got to step forward. Justin Edwards, can you just defend your man and be good enough there? Because I think we all kind of believe in him as a shooter. Like, that's where a lot of this team's progress is going to come from, unless they are willing to do stuff like put those Clippers draft assets on the table and make a major shakeup move. We haven't heard anything to that effect, but I will say they've kept most things pretty close to the vest so far early in this new tenure.
All right. We also have a super chat from Brian Pumper on the Clippers side of things. Trade Embiid plus the 2028 Clippers pick. Back to the Clippers. Please, Gansey, don't fumble this opportunity like you did the draft. Offload that travesty of a contract. That's B Pump.
Yeah, that would be awful. But I appreciate it, super chat. I'm not trading. After the Clippers just made a trade to give themselves a bunch of uncertainty in 2028, I'm not giving them their pick back. There's no way.
Yeah, I would like to keep the Clippers picks. Unless you, like, if there's a real star that's out there to go get, we can talk about. I'm not burning those picks to dump a contract right now.
No.
It's just, I don't care how frustrated you are by I do care how frustrated people are by the Joel and PG and just kind of the stagnation of this team. I don't care enough about it to trade the Clippers picks. I would put it that way.
Imagine you trade that pick to get off of Joel Embiid's contract. You still don't have cap space because you've got 2 other max contracts on your roster. 2028 comes here and that ends up being a top 5 pick. You would be furious. Quit trying to get a short-term victory and really punishing yourself long-term to do so.
All right, let's take our first break of the night as we hang out with you on our special PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy show. When we come back, let's talk more on the Sixers side of what they could potentially do with their own free agents. Some rumors about some of those names from Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, Andre Drummond. Some sprinkles out there, everybody, that other teams are, in fact, interested in those 3 players. We'll tell you who those are and some other moves around the league, plus a Wawa Hoagie Fest hangout on a Tuesday.
Yeah, baby.
Look at that. We're all ready with the Hoagie Fest hangout. Got our Wawa cups. We're ready to go. We're ready to go to find out what's going to happen at 6 p.m. around the NBA, most importantly for your Sixers. Don't go anywhere. Hit the like button. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. It's Derek, Kyle, Devon, and Bree, and all of you. Don't go anywhere. PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy special on a Tuesday night. Stay with us. All right, let's talk about staying in the game, everybody. If pain is slowing you down, knee, shoulder, back, whatever it is, you don't have to just deal with it. The team at Rothman Orthopedics has you covered. They've been recognized as the #1 physician practice in the country by Castle Connolly for having the most top doctors in orthopedic care. I can attest with my ACL and my Achilles, I rank them #1 too. That's elite expertise trusted nationwide. Getting started is easy. Head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Schedule your appointment today. Don't know what type of specialist you need to schedule with? Use their fast scheduler program to quickly connect with their VIP scheduling team to get you set up with the appropriate specialist for your injury. And with Rothman now, you can get immediate access to orthopedic care with experts for guidance when you need it. At Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility is their mission. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY and get back to doing what you love pain-free.
And guys, next up, we want to tell you about Xfinity, specifically their 5-year price guarantee. Because what if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like a super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. There's no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and you get Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price, it should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
Back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, where it is presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more. We'll also get to our Rothman Orthopedics Full Strength segment of the show a little bit later as well. But let's dive right into it with the news that we've had so far throughout the day as far as Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, Andre Drummond, the Styline, Mark and Jake reported that the Pacers will have a level of interest, Derek, in Kelly Oubre with, as they put it, quote, part of the non-taxpayer mid-level. That seems like a pretty good fit when you talk about style of play for what they like to do with Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, the most interesting part of that is probably with a part of the non-taxpayer mid-level. It means he's getting less than $15 million, which means that he has a chance to be within the range where I'm not going to completely gash my abs out when I see the contract, which is why, again, I've been kind of relaying that of the two, Grimes or Oubre is the one where I think you probably have a chance to get him back on a deal that's at least palatable. I'm not the biggest Kelly fan in the world, mostly at this point because of the lack of shooting. He's cut back on some of the decision-making problems that I had a problem with earlier, but you do have to worry about the contract. You do have to worry about the length of the contract and the size of it because you're right up against that first apron. So I think that's relatively encouraging, actually, because you always wonder, like, where did that come from? If it's coming from an agent and that's being presented as that, it doesn't seem like the market is super strong, but we'll see.
And last season he made $9 million?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what would you think that part of that might look like? Could it be $10 million?
It might be $10 million for 2 or 3 years, and I could live with that.
Yeah, I think it fits in that range Derek mentioned earlier of like 8 to 12 million, somewhere in there. And so I would agree. I think that's encouraging. I don't know what to make of the Grimes Lakers stuff that is out there, also from our friends at the Steinline, because I don't know how much of a priority he'll be. As we brought it up, the Luka and Reeves very expensive backcourt pairing as a third guard when they're talking to Walker Kessler allegedly. They're dealing with Rui's free agency. We'll see if he stays there or goes. Obviously, we've talked about Rui as one of the priority targets for the Sixers to potentially look at.
And even on a smaller scale, as guards-wise, Luke Kennard is their free agent as well.
And we've had, I think we had to mention maybe a super chat, Bree, of someone who was Riaz, who asked, do you think a Kennard signing is possible at a minimum or near a minimum? It'd be nice to get a shooter off the bench. I don't think it's a crazy idea. Like I would be leery of bringing in another defensively challenged player who's not going to help with the rebounding problem. He is a good shooter. He also has had injury problems, if I recall correctly, right? He's not been
games last year,
not been super healthy lately, so that's another mark against him. All those reasons are why he could be a minimum guy. Like if we're talking about that, then sure, because that doesn't impact who you're getting on the mid-level or any of that. So maybe I'm interested there. The Oubre thing, though, I do believe is encouraging. We'll have to wait and see on Grimes and what happens with the rest of LA's business. Maybe we'll get lucky here and the Lakers will focus too much on Quentin Grimes and Rui will get a little mad and then he'll come, meet with Mike Gansey and we can swap Grimes going to the West Coast and Rui comes back to the East Coast where he started his NBA. I think that would work out well for everybody. Mostly just us.
Mostly us. It's always about us. Yeah, we're not kidding anybody. It's mostly about us here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. But as we do talk about that and we look at things here, let's do Bree, if you're ready for this one, let's do our Rothman Full Strength presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more, because starting off with the Oubre side, because we're talking wings maybe here. You wrote in your piece at allphly.com, number one, let's tell everybody again, I'm sure you saw it yesterday, but if you did not, this is our job to let you know that Ja Morant was traded to the Portland Trailblazers on Monday after we were done here at the offices for former Sixer Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray from the Portland Trailblazers. They're heading to Memphis. Ja Morant, they'll figure all their point guard situation out in Portland. We can talk about that more. But more on the Sixers side in your piece, you discuss them moving on from a lot of players. You said earlier, they clearly have no direction of winning right now. They are rebuilding. They have a nice starting point with Boozer and Cedric Coward as two of their now pieces that they can move forward with. But what are they going to do with the rest of the roster? And they have a lot of young guys. They have some wings. They have some bigs. And we've talked about the Sixers needing a lot on this roster. So as we look at the Kelly Oubre side of things, in the event that he does maybe leave, are there, as you said in your story, maybe there could be some players to watch on that roster?
Yeah, so just to lay it out for everybody, and I didn't include Chris Murray in this list because I think he's more a small forward, plays some shooting guard, occasionally plays the four depending on lineups.
Too.
But yeah, you could throw him in this group. But the Grizzlies basically have 8 players who are either power forwards or some sort of front court player. Cam Boozer, Kareem Lopez, Santi Aldama, Jeremy Grant, Isaiah Stewart, Gigi Jackson, Olivia Maxence Prosper, and Taylor Hendricks. So Boozer, Lopez, Aldama, Grant, Stewart, not happening for the Sixers because Stewart and Aldama making too much. They're basically, I think Stewart could fit into the mid-level, but he also now is not going to be able to be traded once that deal is complete until later in the year. Grant makes way too much money. Aldama makes, I think, 17-ish, too much money. Not trading Lopez, not trading Boozer. So Hendricks and Gigi Jackson in Memphis are 2 guys I want to focus on as potential buy low. They're squeezed out of the rotation, power forward size guys that I would call Memphis and say, what are they worth to you? Jackson is a tougher fit here because he is much more of a put him on the ball. He's a jumbo creator. He's going to get his own shot. He's not really an off-ball type of player. But he's also super young. He's been in the league 3 years, and he doesn't turn 22 until December. He was a really highly regarded high school recruit. He reclassified, went to college early, bad freshman year, goes to Memphis, and had a good first year, crappy and injured second year, and then a pretty good year last year. The questions with him are maturity because he's still young and he's had some issues off the court. Whatever, you can look into that yourselves, and whether he fits as a shooter. Taylor Hendricks, I think, is someone that our guy Attila in the Discord has stumped for most of the last 2 years. Was taken 9th overall in the draft, was a lottery talent, is like a solid 6'8", 6'9", good athlete, and in theory is just like a fifth starter type, space the floor, switchable as a 3-4 on defense, needs to rebound better, needs to add a little bit more playmaking, but the tools are there for him to be an NBA caliber starting forward. He's making $7 or $8 million, so that's kind of tough to make happen right now. But this is a team that, because of their logjam at that position, because of the needs the Sixers have, I would be on the phone with them and saying, like, how can we incentivize you to we'll take a flyer on one of these guys. We'll get one of these guys in our program and see if you put him in a competition with Barlow for like backup forward minutes, and then hopefully you upgrade the position through free agency where maybe you get a Collins, maybe you get a Wade, a Mamu, whoever it might be, and then the cream can rise to the top on the bench with some of these deep rotation guys.
Hearing you go over that, it really just kills me how few tradable contracts the Sixers actually have because it's so difficult to make some of those trades work. Santi's a perfect example. Like
he's a great fit, but you have no way to get him.
Because the only way you could even remotely get close is with that mid-level. Mid-level is $15 million. He's making like 16 or 17. Yeah. You just missed the cutoff. And because you have no other tradable contracts, there's really no way to get to that number, which is why what I talked about earlier is just make sure you get a couple of players who have something in the $6 to $14 million range of contracts, so you have more flexibility the next time we get to one of these trading periods. Because right now, after your big four, your next highest contract is the kid you just drafted at Phylon at $3.6 million. There's nothing on the books.
Yeah, so Aldama, for clarity, makes just over 17 this year, and then there's a team option on him for the identical number, just over 17 in 27-28. So right now, you could not trade for him, which is why we don't focus on him. We focus on the guys that there's at least a path to making a trade.
Taylor Hendricks, I would have interest in, as you talk about him. And we look at the two situations with him. Somebody just mentioned that he had broken his ankle. Mr. Midrange talked about breaking his ankle in Utah. But leaving Utah, bad team. Trying to find his way, young player. You go to Memphis, chaos all over the place with Memphis. So you're leaving two situations there where now you come into, look, the Sixers are at least a playoff team. And while they have their own things to figure out, more of an opportunity, 6'9", 215 player to come in, very athletic, and a lot of things that you look at why he was selected top 10 coming out of the draft that year because of all the talent that he does have. I would have major interest in that as a big swing. I mean, not a huge swing because he hasn't really done much yet in the league, but he's had his moments. So he would be someone that I would definitely have interest in taking a swing here and seeing if they can acquire him and have that untapped potential come to fruition here in Philadelphia under Nick Nurse and the crew.
Like what would that look like? Like trading him into the part of mid-level and like what kind of pick are we talking about?
And like, I don't know. Is he available for seconds? I don't know what the price is there. He certainly is going to be, I think he'll cost more than Gigi would. And by the way, Gigi Jackson has been more productive than he has been. Like Jackson at least has a couple of years where he is a productive rotation guy. I just don't know that he would scale as a role player. He does a little bit feel like a guy who can put up numbers and be productive when there are no stakes and no consequences, or like just let him do his thing. Hendricks is still more of an idea than a player, but theoretically you put him on a good team in a better situation and he can focus on just knock down spot up threes and play switchable defense. That's why I think he would be a great ad. I don't know how you make that happen.
And just to be clear, $7.8 million is left on his contract from his rookie deal, where it was a 4 for 25 as a top pick in the league. So you look at that player where nothing is really hit from 2023. Played 59 games last season with Memphis. The year before, 3 because of the broken ankle, and his rookie season he played 40 games for the Utah Jazz. He averaged last season 7.4, which was basically identical to his rookie season with the Utah Jazz. So, again, bad teams, both of them, Jazz and Memphis. Get them out of there and see if you hit on a young player that was supposed to live up to the expectations of at least being a functional player, a rotational player on your team as a lottery pick. I would have interest in Taylor Hendricks, who turns 23 in November when the season just gets underway. So you're still talking about a very young player with some NBA experience, where he's played 102 NBA games so far over the course of the 3 years.
And these are the types of guys, as we talk every offseason and at every deadline, we're always trying to look for young player who, was considered a good enough talent to get taken high, but maybe has not found their way, because that's how you end up stealing. Like, look, the Sixers have messed this up in the past, right? Where they let guys go, whether via trade, cut, whatever it might be, and with more opportunity or a more structured role in a different organization, all of a sudden that guy is able to blossom. What you want to do is look for those opportunities on other teams, whether it's because of injury, they're just at a log jam, or maybe they just need like the right shooting coach. So that's why you're looking at teams like that are not competing right now, that do have some positional overlap with a lot of guys, and they're just resetting in Memphis. So it's the type of team that right now it's Cam Boozer, it's Zach Edey, and
Cedric Howard.
And
Karim Lopez, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But like everybody else is kind of up for grabs and what happens. So those are the situations that you're monitoring.
A lot of Gigi Jackson fans in the chat, though, as you bring him up. There are a lot of fans. And I mean, he did that not last year. It was the season before where he was putting up some big numbers for that bad Memphis Grizzlies team. And he looked really good.
He's a talented kid,
He
man.
is. He really is. So that would be a name to keep an eye on, everybody, as we are almost 10 minutes away from the start of free agency in the NBA. Nothing as of late, since at the top where Kyle reported, our buddy Jake Fisher, saying that keep an eye on Dean Wade, because it doesn't look like, at least right now, he's going to re-sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he's going to meet with other teams, have those meetings, and see where things go from there. Certainly a target for the Philadelphia 76ers. We mentioned Quentin Grimes as a name to also watch. Not only was it also reported about the Lakers, Derek, it was also reported that the Miami Heat might be in on Quentin Grimes too, as they try to search for where Norm Powell might be out the door, because they can no longer afford him because of the Giannis trade. So the Heat might be a landing spot for him. Well, we haven't really heard, and I ask you this because of the Sixers and their lack of logjam at the 5, outside of Bona and Embiid. Andre Drummond, haven't heard much.
No.
Haven't heard much. It may not be $5 million anymore, Derek.
Well, it better not be.
But let's talk about Andre Drummond a little bit as the Sixers free agent.
I mean, is there anyone even really making a case to bring him back so much? Like, I understand, and Kyle made a point. Like, it seems like the center market's drying up a little bit. I just want to die another way. I want to try something different and see whether or not it works. I want to, whether that's a big who can maybe switch on the perimeter, a big who can space the floor, a big who can do, and I know, corner 3 Andre Drummond.
Excuse you.
No,
corner sniper.
I
Andre
need
Drummond.
pick and
Did he
pop
shoot?
shooter.
Show some damn respect.
Maybe even a small ball 5 and we can surround him with shooters. Maybe there's one of those out there trying to trigger Kyle.
0 out of 10 on that one.
Terrence Knight
no,
says
I don't-
nobody wants Big Drum.
Yeah, I look, great guy. Give him credit for developing a shot. I don't really care about the shot too much, but I give him credit for developing it. He just doesn't move enough. Like I said, I need to try something else. I need to try another scheme. I need to try somebody with a tiny bit more upside. I got to go in
The
different
Landale and the Precious Achua ones hurt for,
Yeah, they
for the
hurt.
center
Going off the
market
board
piece.
early was tough
They
because Devon and I were going through the center list in our prep for the show, and it's like, you gonna sign 36-year-old Vucevic? No.
We want no parts
Zach
of
Collins has been bad for years.
Jackson Hayes. You know I'm
Mitchell
out.
Robinson is going to get a lot of money. Like, he's not on the board. You want to Kevon Looney's a name that's out there, but like, I think he's looked pretty cooked for the last 2 years, at least to me.
No, thank you.
Nick Richards, then we're starting to talk about a guy that maybe I have some interest in. He's still young and mobile enough.
Yeah.
I say young and mobile enough.
One
He's
more
going to be
that
29.
We
so
had
it's
on
not
our
like
list that Bree showed yesterday, Yusuf Nurkic, who we didn't talk about. We were saving for today.
Yeah.
He signs for 2 years, $22 million to go back to Utah.
Yeah. So honestly, the list after that is just gruesome. I mean, you're talking about 38-year-old Kevin Love, Bismack Biyombo, who was a clipboard holder for the Spurs at the end of the year. 38-year-old DeAndre Jordan is technically still out there in free agency.
No, thank you.
Jackson Hayes, Drew Eubanks, Huck Porty, who was on the Knicks, is a free agent now. Like,
I was a little surprised at that.
I was going to say, maybe you have some thoughts on whether he's worth a swing.
He's worth a swing, certainly on that. I'll give you a veteran. He's not even a veteran. This is his 3rd year going into, so he's not getting any more than $2 million if I'm taking a swing there. Yeah.
So, but just illustrating the point that the center market is pretty rough. And it is why the hope would be if you can sign somebody that can play both those front court spots, like start potentially and space the floor next to Joel Embiid, but also play some center minutes. Like, that is the ideal setup. I also think that's why a lot of people were Chris Sinak fans in our chat. Certainly Devon was, because I think that was some of the theory there. But since they didn't go that direction, Sixers got some work left to do.
How would you feel, though, if you saw it come across or
Andre Drummond is back?
The text that Andre Drummond was back. And the money is a 1-year deal, veteran minimum.
It would have to be the minimum.
Yes. How would you feel about that?
I mean, as long as it's 1 year in the minimum, I probably won't get too upset. I just need to watch something else. I'm telling you, 6'10", can rebound, lead the break, great court vision.
You're just not going to do it. It's not. It's too telegraphed.
Go for a big fish, Kyle.
He's going for a big fish, all right. It's a rainbow trout. People are throwing like Marvin Bagley's name has come up. He's not actually. I don't think he's a center.
No, he's a 4. He's like strictly a 4. You can play some small ball 5 with him. You can do that. But if you're talking Joel Embiid is out, unless the matchup that night calls for a small ball 5, then. And we talked about him last year at the at free agency where I threw it to you guys. And we were all like really, really lukewarm on him, but it was off of he had some really good games with the Wizards. Things looked okay. Give him a shot and see where you get him on a veteran minimum. And he got traded to Dallas and played okay. I think he averaged about 11 points in the time there. He had a really big game at one point for the Dallas Mavericks, so a double-double. So, again, a league minimum for him as a 4 maybe that you're looking at as a deep 4. Challenge Barlow a little bit. Give him a little bit of a challenge. Yeah. I'm okay with that. But it would not be for a lot of money when it comes to somebody like him. No.
Like, look, has been a pretty good rebounder in a smaller minute role, like a 15 to 20 minute per game guy. Still, despite some injuries, is a pretty good athlete, right? So I would certainly be interested in him as a lower priority like you said, minimum type of deal. I'm not using the mid-level to
No.
bring in Marvin Bagley. Like I have higher aspirations there, but it's a good name to throw out there as we get deeper into the list.
All right, that is the Rothman Ortho Full Strength presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more. When we come back on the other side, as free agency will get underway, everybody, finally, we're going to have some action, we hope, because last summer, nothing.
Until we left. And
Until
then stuff happened.
Exactly. So nothing. Free agency gets underway in about 4 minutes. And we want to be here with you to talk about that one as things start to hopefully happen around 6:01. We have to talk to you about surprising move with the Sixers picking up the options. Sixers have Dominic Barlow and Dalen Terry not reworking Dominic Barlow's deal. We have to talk about that. And we will do that when we get back. And waiting to find out as things start to happen now in less than 4 minutes here on the PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy Special. It's a Tuesday. It's all going down in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Guys, you know what's funny? We can stream almost anything instantly. You can order food. It shows up in about 15 minutes. Somehow getting tickets to a game, a concert, or an event that you really want to go to can be like a full-time job, dealing with waiting rooms, prices jumping, whatever it might be. That's why you got to use the Game Time app. I've been looking around a lot at World Cup tickets. 4th of July was a hot ticket. Might have come down a little bit. There are other big tickets in the area around the World Cup. And I can see as the prices go up and down, I can also use the panoramic seat views. I can take advantage of zone deals. So I can just pick a section I want to be in, not a specific seat. And I can save some money doing that. And of course, you see the price all up front. There are no surprise fees at the very end. Game Time is the best. It takes the stress out of buying tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code PHLY for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, PHLY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. You know it's officially summer when Hoagie Fest comes back to Wawa. I've got to ask you guys, what's your go-to Wawa order? For me, it's very simple. I'm getting a classic Italian hoagie, lettuce, tomatoes, a little bit of oil, and I love some banana peppers along with it. Give me a little bit of that spice to go along with that Italian hoagie. And if Hoagie Fest is back, that means you can get any shorty hoagie, wrap, or chicken sandwich, plus a bag of Hers chips and a small fountain drink for just $6. If you're feeling extra hungry, and normally I am, I'm a pretty large guy, make it a classic meal for only $8. There are a lot of summer memories that we love to create. We're all on the move. I remember growing up, riding my bikes to Wawa with my friends, getting some hoagies, getting some nice big sodas, a Coke, a Dr. Pepper, whatever it might be. For you, Hoagie Fest is big flavor, great value, that same Hoagie Fest energy we all know and love. It's back at Wawa. We all got to have a Wawa.
Back here on the PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy Special. Derek, Kyle, Devon, and Bree, all of you. We are here as free agency kicks off in about 60 seconds. And we get things started here with talking with you.
We have
here.
like an air horn or a confetti gun or something.
Me and Bree said we were going to do that, but we didn't pick it up. It's my bad, actually. It's not Bree's. She did remind me, and I did not pick it up. So we will get that, though, as we get ready.
Oh, I didn't realize.
At
maybe,
6 o'clock.
Maybe right at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Let's do that. All right, let's update everybody. For the ones who have not heard what moves have happened before things get going, I saw Philly Rayneed say that what happened with Jock Landale? Well, Jock Landale did go back to Atlanta 1 year, $14 million. Preston Sachua back to the Kings, 2 years, $11.5 million. You also had Yusuf Nurkic, 2 years, $22 million to go back to the Utah Jazz. We also had in this one, Andrew Wiggins. Looks like he's going to ink a 2-year extension. That's going to be overall with the $30 million that he opted in. 2 years worth $34 million. So that's $64 over the next 3 years to stay in Miami for Andrew Wiggins.
3, 2, 1.
There it is. We're officially on the clock as we watch to find out where the free agents are going, what we hear.
No texts or tweets yet.
Nothing.
Gansy's asleep.
6:01, everybody. Let's just wait on that one.
Sleepy Mike.
Landry Shamet signs a 4-year deal, 24, or expected to sign 4-year, $24 million deal to stay with the New York Knicks. The Thunder did pick up Lou Dort's $17.7 million team option. That was a big question of what would they do with he and Hartenstein. Hartenstein also getting an extension. Julian Champagnie, former Sixer that still has Sixer fans livid, extending 3 years, $45 million to stay with the San Antonio Spurs. Kristaps Porzingis looks like he's going to stay in Golden State. 2 years, $40 million. Kevin Huerter, if you were Kevin Huerter fans for the Sixers, staying in Detroit. 3 years, $27 million to stay in Detroit. They can't let go of shooting, man. Gotta keep it there.
It's 6:01 and nothing's happened. It's safe to say the season is over. They might as well start tanking
Code Rand already
right
said
now.
that. Season is over.
Remember
already.
like 3 or 4 years ago when they didn't care about tampering and like you would have a flood
Adam
of
Silver,
stuff now?
among the many crimes he's committed against us, against basketball, against fan interest, is coming down on the tampering stuff.
This
Like,
used to be
for
an
what?
event. This was
For
a
why?
must-watch primetime
Yes, it
event.
is.
And now we're like, all right, we're all going to sit around here while they pretend to negotiate.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Despite the fact that we know all these teams that are going to sit down right after free agency opens with specific players who are not on their teams, it's a ridiculous charade.
Yes, it is. All right, finally, signing appeared to stay in Portland. Robert Williams, again, another target of Sixer fans for the backup 5 position, staying in Portland. 3 years, $44 million to stay with the Portland Trailblazers, who I have no idea what they're doing in general, but that's what they're doing with him. Also,
Are you surprised that he got almost $15 million a year?
yes, I am. Yep. Yes, I am.
I think he's certainly worth it if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But
I
he's
just,
not
you know,
healthy enough.
I don't think I really believe in the health. And he was a guy I was interested in for the Sixers if he had gotten to free agency, but it's just so hard to trust that he's going to be upright and available for any extended period of time.
I mean, since getting to Portland, he played in, 85 games over 3 seasons? Like, he's just not available.
He's not. So finally, last 2 here. Bradley Beal back on the open market, declining his option. I think it was $5.6 million with the Clippers. He's a free agent, and the Kings traded Devin Carter, the first-round pick from the Kings a few years ago. Carter and a future second going to the Atlanta Hawks, who have had a busy start of their offseason and a solid pickup for them as a point guard for the backcourt for them. So here we are. That's where we are right now. Where do we go from here? Let's see. Also a name that we had interest in as far as a new free agent. Milwaukee did not pick up the option for Ousmane Deng. He is now an unrestricted free agent. There's a chance that he could return to the Milwaukee Bucks, but now that he is out there, all of us definitely have interest in him.
Yeah, because he's been came to the league pretty young. I think he was 19. He's on an OKC team that has increasingly become loaded, more competitive. There's not really a spot to develop him. So the Bucks get him, and the Bucks are able to give him, like 27 minutes a game down the stretch last year. Puts up some pretty good numbers. I think the interesting thing with him is the intersection of size and playmaking.
Yeah.
Like he was at right around, I think, 3.5 assists or so a game while he was with the Bucks. Had some triple-double type performances there in Milwaukee. Again, you take it with a grain of salt to some extent because Milwaukee at the end of the year is just kind of playing out the string, trying to protect their draft pick, yada, yada, yada. But interesting guy that in theory could play both front court spots. Like they allowed him to play a good amount of center in both OKC and Milwaukee at times when he's able to get on the floor. So another guy that I would be interested in a flyer on. I don't think are you giving him any more than the minimum?
Dang. I might give him. So the minimum is what, 2?
It depends on years of service,
Yeah,
right?
so
Derek
he's not
probably
a lot.
has
Yeah,
to-
it would be like 2.4, 2.5,
2.4.
something like that.
I might give him a clean 3. It's more money, more guaranteed money than maybe another team. And he has opportunity to play on this team too at the wing position. So
yeah.
I would probably give him just a slightly more just to entice him to come here versus some other offers that may only give him the
Yeah, maybe a very small portion, the mid-level, maybe the biannual, something like that. Both those moves would hard cap you at the first apron. like Kyle said, a big man who has a little bit of creativity, I'm interested in. I would love the shot to be a little more consistent. He's still very young. He is younger than Yaxel Lendeborg, who just got drafted in the lottery. Like, he is that young.
Gigi Jackson, I think, is over 2 years younger than Yaxel, which is a crazy thing to think because he's been in the league for 3 years.
So I think he's still got time to develop that shot. And if he develops a shot, I think he can be a legitimate rotation player. I am willing to take a small gamble on that.
All right, let's also take a look at some of these super chats that you do have here to mix them into the conversation. Brian Pumper, who had one earlier, says, fellas, we're not winning. Miami got the Greek Freak, Toronto getting the Claw, and we're talking about taking flyers on Dean freaking Wade. Despicable. Well, we've talked about this. This is where they are.
Who do you think is going to change the complexion of the team in free agency? Like, we're talking about adding role players who you could hopefully then trade down the line.
You know who, Pump, I just want everyone to know, because we'll probably have some new people in here. I'm only saying this to incite him because he's mad about the guards. You know who they could have taken a flyer on? John Morant. Could have made the first ever 5-guard team, exchanging one of those big contracts for another big guard contract.
I mean, at that point, you really got to get Jay Wright to coach a team if that's the way you're going.
Yeah, like,
Right.
Again, like the big contracts that are on the books are largely the story of the team and the franchise, right? We talked for years about how Tobias Harris's contract was an impediment to getting better, going out in free agency, like making certain deals, unless you were willing to attach stuff to get rid of him. Now you have 2 contracts like that. Admittedly, both those guys are better basketball players than Tobias Harris was by a lot, but it's still the same problem. If they are not at the level that their contract says they need to be at, then you only have so many ways to add talent to the team. And I know that's why Pump and many others are like, we'll just dump these guys for spare parts. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But then my message is that's not helping you this year. That might help you in a year. That might help you in 2 years. But if you drop one of those guys today in a trade, you're probably still waiting out whoever the expiring contract is that you're getting back for that player.
Also, Brian Pumper being out on Dean Wade is the most predictable thing ever. He does not have a go-to move. Legitimately, no go-to move.
Listen, Dean Wade is not coming here to do anything offensively other than hit spot-up jumpers. And even that is like, I'd like you probably to take some more of those. He's coming here to just be a rotational, solid defender who hits an open shot.
He is a tall guy, though. So
yes.
With all the short guy conversations that he has, he is a tall guy, though.
Indeed.
So I don't know. Jack Reacher says he had to move on from the Vasar stuff. He's now a Hawks fan. Says there's a real argument for trading it first to get off Embiid. It's not as cut and dry as you make it seem. 3 seasons is a very long time in the NBA. That's, of course, off the Pump earlier part of trading Embiid and the Clippers pick to get back, with the Clippers and all. So we appreciate it, Jack Reacher.
So look, I don't disagree with the 3 seasons is a very long time. And if you brought a proposal to me where we could talk about what that trade would look like, I am willing to listen to it. But the problem is that contract is very expensive and it's got way too many years left. And so at minimum, we are talking about you're certainly going to burn this year. You are not turning Joel Embiid into a contract and a player that is helping this team get better this year. Right. Now that might change the complexion of the team next summer if you get some money that, hey, this is coming off the books sooner than later, and then you move Paul George and you do all that. But you're taking back guys that other teams don't want. We're talking about, again, I brought up Jordan Poole's name. You could talk about Zach LaVine just opted into his, you had another guy who's a guard who is not going to defend anybody. Like, you could make a monstrosity of a basketball team and just say, yeah, we're going to have salary cap space in 2027 or 2028, and you can short circuit what they're going through. But it's not helping you this year. I would be stunned if you could figure out a trade that moves Joel specifically. Maybe Paul, you could find a way, just because Paul, again, is, I think, a little more reliable and played well when he's on the floor last year. Mm-hmm. Trading Joel is in almost no universe getting them somebody who's going to actually help them be a winning basketball team next year.
It also always amazes me, the intersection of people who are like, you got to get rid of Joel to rebuild, and also take your most prized first-round pick and give it away to get rid of Joel Embiid. Those, to me, are very competing ideas. To your point, you're not trading a contract of that size, a negative contract of that size, and getting better this year. It's just not happening. So what are you really saying? Like, oh, you're going to do something with that space next summer? Okay, maybe, but that's not getting you to the promised land. Like, to me, you need, these draft picks are just more valuable than being able to use a mid-level exception next summer.
And then we get a super chat from our buddy Vinny. PJ Washington, Klay Thompson, and Daniel Gafford for Joel Embiid.
I don't think Dallas is making that trade.
I don't know why Dallas would do that.
If you're trading Joel and several picks, maybe. Dallas has been very, and maybe this changes, but Dallas has come out and said, Messiah has come out and said, we have a generational prospect on our team. We're focused on, the future with him. What is their urgency to swing on that type of trade right now? You don't have to short circuit everything. You have a kid who's one of the youngest players in the league, having already played a year. It makes no sense for them.
Kyle, this one's for you from Jack Reacher. I'm coming from the point of view that the Sixers aren't close to competing in the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay, but again, what are you accomplishing by making a trade where it's – I'm just going to keep throwing out the Jordan Poole thing. It's Joel is making what? $58 million this year. That's a hard number to match for basically anybody unless they're trading a genuine star. You're like that's Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, Kawhi. Like they're in that neighborhood, but most of them are making less than Joel. You're talking about like Jordan Poole and Herb Jones. What does that accomplish for you as a basketball team?
Nothing.
So it's why the picks part of it is where if you're just saying like a team will give you role players who are going to be off the books sooner and are healthier, and you just want to be out of the Joel business and they'll do players for player swap, I would listen to that. But Derek's exactly right. The draft picks are the part that's important. The draft picks are where you have an opportunity in a year, 2 years, 3 years to really add potentially significant talent to go alongside Maxey, to go alongside VJ. Dumping that stuff because you're just sick of this problem, it might placate fans, but it would be really stupid business for the current basketball team and the front office.
All right, we keep it going, everybody. We had Taj saying, would you accept Jimmy Butler in a trade that sends Anthony Davis to the Warriors and Paul George to the Wizards to open up Paul George cap space next summer? Problem is that they've already pointed out, or at least said that, a lot of reports are saying that with this LeBron James news and all, it's more likely that Anthony Davis is not a part of anything as far as those four coming together in Golden State. Jimmy Butler will, at least for right now, stay in Golden State, even if LeBron James joins the team. So it doesn't look like, Taj, that the Sixers will even have a chance to do that because it doesn't appear that the Anthony Davis part of that story that came out earlier in the week, that part is going to happen. It doesn't appear. So we keep it going. Jack Reacher again, a factor in the baggage that comes with Embiid. So there's.
But what is that? How does getting rid of that
Jack
improve?
needs to just call in.
We do. We need to have a debate with Jack on air.
Well, famously, Jordan Poole has never been in a situation where there was baggage associated with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep throwing that out. It's not fair to just be like, well, I wouldn't make this trade or that trade wouldn't make it. Like, if you can present me a deal where another team trades players and does not require you to move picks in order to get off these deals, of course I would listen. It depends on the trade. I'm open to almost anything. I wouldn't trade VJ. Like I'm locked in on VJ. I would listen to almost anything else though. So show me the trade. Show me the team. Bring me a report that's like, this team is willing to do this. and then we can talk about that. Nobody that I have talked to or listened to is like, oh yeah, they could just easily move that and not have to attach stuff. That's when you hear these conversations. Oh, that's one of the worst contracts in the league, and but like that means you're going to pay a price, and it's not going to be one that helps the team.
One last one on Embiid as far as the super chats go. From Reardon, defending Embiid, 23-24 led the league in scoring, favorite for MVP 24-25, recovering from surgery/tanking 25-26, average 27 a night, best against Boston. That's where the defending in Embiid comes in for Reardon as to why you keep him around, because the new contract is kicking in anyway.
And now I'll play the other side of it. I'm done just talking myself into this is going to be the year he's finally healthy for 2.5 months in the playoffs. I just can't do it anymore. I've been on that corner for like the last 1.5 years for that matter. So maybe, I don't know if Derek is still holding out any kind of.
I mean, I am willing to give it a shot, but that's mostly because I think moving him will take 2 first-round picks to do so. So if there's a 1% chance of something magical happening, and B, a guarantee that you're going to lose 2 second-round or 2 first-round picks if you trade him, then I'm just not really interested in that business. It would be like if I had to sit down and actually think about like, oh, if you could just do it for player swap, then we could, that would be something to think about. But no, I don't believe in him being healthy for sure. Yeah. But I'm willing to see what a second season after Dr. Glashow's magic can do. Yeah.
It's just brutal when you finally get the Celtics series win.
Yeah.
And it's in this like heroic comeback fashion. They go to Boston and they win in 7. And then it's like, well, of course, somebody fell into his leg and he was injured and not good after that. And it's the same story every year. So I do get the pushback of like, just move on. I play both sides of this argument. It's too hard to trade them for any kind of value. You got to all deal with it. You better hope that John Collins or Dean Wade or Mamu make this team a lot better, and that VJ is mini Anthony Edwards or Dwayne Wade or whoever you want to project onto him.
We are 17 minutes into free agency, and we're debating about Joel Embiid's trade value.
Ridiculous.
Adam Silver, you have committed a crime.
Silver, jail.
Yes.
Maximum security.
All right. Also on the Sixers side, while we wait for something to happen in the NBA,
anything.
The Sixers
literally any team do something challenge right now.
The Sixers did not pick up Trendon Watford's team option, making him an unrestricted free agent. Surprised there with the new leadership in the front office.
Me. I've just been doing the Joel rant for
8
minutes.
I would say I was not all that surprised that they did not pick up his option. Disappointing last year. New front office. Maybe not their type of player. Yes, he can handle the ball and be a multi-positional player, but it was pretty underwhelming outside of the triple-double against the Raptors and maybe a few other handful of games. He was basically unplayable in the playoffs. And when I look at that, even though with the partnership and the friendship where they're very close, he and Tyrese Maxey, not even that was enough to pick up the option. Now, does he come back on maybe a shorter-term type of deal? Possibly, but I wasn't all that surprised that they did not pick up that option.
No, there's a combination of non-shooting, no defense, and no rebounding. That's just really tough to overcome, especially as a 6'10" front court player. It was worth a gamble.
Yeah,
didn't really I like the creativity. Unfortunately, pretty much every other aspect about basketball is a struggle. No, he's a real tough player to make fit.
I was skeptical when they signed him, but at least intrigued. But I think if he was the same player he is, but he rebounded, fine, bring him back. The fact that he doesn't rebound, but is also a tricky offensive fit and defensively is pretty bleh, if we're being charitable, it made it pretty easy for me. Like maybe you could argue Nurse should have tapped into him as a short roll guy more, but even that is mostly theoretical. So we'll always have the Raptors game, but not a whole lot that we saw. And
that Raptors game gave you some hope.
Boy, did it.
He came back from the injury. He played really well. And you're thinking, you might get that one next there too. And it didn't. It never really materialized. And that's the problem, that it didn't come together the way that you did. Was he fully healthy when he came back? I believe so, because after a while, he wasn't playing. So at least the rehabbing and the practicing, you could see that he was probably back to being healthy enough to play, just never worked. And then the shooting never caught up. Some of the other things, we saw some decision-making that even when we saw with the Brooklyn Nets, where there were, albeit a bad team, made some plays. That's those same plays with better players didn't show itself in the Sixers uniform. So, again, not all that surprised that they did not pick up his option. So he's an unrestricted free agent out there. Let's look at some of the names that are available as we just kind of get back into what the Sixers could maybe go after. Jonathan Kuminga also had Atlanta decline his $24.3 million option. Don't know what that means, but outside of the fact that he's now an unrestricted free agent, I don't know what it means, Derek, as far as the money goes of what he gets on the open market. I have no clue because of what Golden State
I don't have any feel for what he's going to get.
They didn't have to give him the money that they did, but in order to kind of calm things down in Golden State last summer, where it was a really bad relationship between those two trying to figure it out, they gave him the 2 years, and there was a team option on the second one. They executed the trade. They got somebody to take him. He had some moments in Atlanta, but they declined that $24 million option. First of all, for the Sixers, if the money is right, do you take a look at him on this roster? And what kind of money would that even mean?
I mean, I feel like somebody's going to give him more of the mid-level than I would be comfortable with. And when you start looking at him, it's like, doesn't really shoot all that well, wants the ball, wants to start, wants to play big minutes, not really an initiator or a creator for others. That is an archetype I generally don't believe in, and he just hasn't made progress over the last couple of years to bridge that gap. I would have relatively low interest in him, even while saying like the Sixers desperately need wings, and trying to get young versions of that is
we got
very,
our
very
first
tough.
move.
Oh, hello.
And it
Damn
is, as we just talked about, this could happen. Milwaukee is agreeing with forward Ousmane Dieng, agreeing on a 3-year, $17 million deal to return to the Milwaukee Bucks. Sorry, Derek, to cut you off, but that is the first.
So a little less than $6 a year.
Of the frenzy. We said we would give him $3 million, and he gets $6.
We did say more. We did say more than the minimum. Which that is pretty much right there.
Right.
Oh,
the frenzy.
Oh,
is
more
starting.
big news.
The frenzy.
Bree, hit the air horn for this one.
The frenzy.
DeAndre Jordan re-signing with the New Orleans Pelicans.
What was the award that he won this year? Was it like the sportsmanship or teammate of the year or something?
I will say,
they needed it.
Talk to people who have been teammates with DeAndre, and frankly, you could just like listen to him too. Interviews. People love that guy.
They do.
He is a big-time locker room guy. Yeah,
he was here for a little bit.
Always, wherever he goes, is very well loved.
The frenzy has started, everybody. Ousmane Dieng staying in Milwaukee and DeAndre Jordan re-upping with the New Orleans Pelicans. So now we wait to find out what's next for the Sixers and the rest of the NBA. We move on from your thoughts on Kuminga.
I think I'm more in on him than Derek is. I think last year was his best rebounding season that he's had, and I know that was something that Golden State was like, that this needs to be more of a point of emphasis for you. Carried that over to Atlanta. Had some like really good games once he got sent to Atlanta. It is tough because he does feel like one of those guys that is just always going to be maybe on the next team and maybe on the next team. But in fairness to him, he was in a situation in Golden State where they really just yanked him back and forth over and over and over again. He clearly wasn't a fit there. It was a relationship that they both needed to move on from. So I wish I had some more information on what it looks like for him with other teams because of how toxic that situation is. I'd be willing to take the gamble because the physical tools are great. He's got some good scoring chops, like can be a physical player. I really don't even know if I know who he is yet as a basketball player. And that's a crazy thing to say about a guy who's this far into his career. So I'd test the waters. I'd make a phone call, but I don't know how long I'm spending on that one. Because I think the other part that Derek's talking about, I think he wants to get paid. Yeah, so no doubt. I don't know that the Sixers even have the chance to get in there. Our
friend Larry Love brings in more here as we talk about in the Super Chat. Larry Love, 215, says, I don't understand these trade Joel people. Bro, we have been a multiple 50-plus win team since Joel. We haven't gotten it done because only one team can win it. I don't want to watch the Hollis Thompson Sixers again.
And boy, was that
a
moment in time? The Hollis Thompson, Jakar Sampson, Tony Roten.
Just run them down.
Your favorite? That's Tony Roten is up there on the maybe not the Jed Howard level for Devon, but he's definitely a guy I know drove you nuts.
Because the passes were coming to us in the press area. Yeah. That's how bad it was. So yeah, that was some bad times, and I don't want to go back to the Hollis Thompson Sixers era level of basketball either. So
we have some late arrivals who are is that Yo Dev, who asked if we would be mad if they got LeBron. Hell, I would be ecstatic.
Man,
you're not getting it. I don't care how much younger they are. You're not getting a better player for $15 million than LeBron on the mid-level.
Which is wild because he's still one of the best athletes in the world at what he does. And we're like similar age. And if I sleep just diagonally incorrect, I can't move all day.
Yeah, look, I would love somebody who's more of a long-term, like grow with VJ, grow with Tyrese, grow with Phylon, whoever.
It would be fun, though.
However, I would have LeBron James in a heartbeat. Find whatever, get him on the phone with. You remember it used to be like, oh, we saw him touring Malvern Prep or like all these ridiculous things when he was potentially considering the Sixers back in 2018. Got to start making up like, oh, I saw him at the Aramingo Wawa in Port Richmond, stopping for a nice chicken. Buffalo chicken sandwich at Wawa. Yeah, I don't know, man. I would take them, and I wouldn't think twice about it.
Wouldn't even think twice about it. All right, we got to take another pause, everybody. We appreciate you hanging on with us. The frenzy is already underway. Ousmane Dieng back to the Bucks, and DeAndre Jordan stays with the Pelicans. Any more news? Not yet. But stay with us because we do have, on the other side, we will have for you the Wawa Hoagie Fest Hangout, as we sit here and eat our food and wait for some news to drop for the Sixers and the NBA. Much more of your super chats, more names that I'll throw at all of you and the guys and Bree here. Would you like the Sixers to target? It's the PHLY Sixers free agency frenzy. Is it a frenzy? 2 moves.
I don't think DeAndre Jordan counts as a frenzy.
All right. Well, we're still calling our show a frenzy. Hit the like button, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy Special.
Guys, I just want to thank you for being part of the PHLY community. We're always looking to improve our shows around here and better understand how you listen and what you value the most. That's why we've launched a new quick survey. Your feedback helps us shape the content you love and also, hopefully, make it even better. Only takes a few minutes. It makes a big impact. So just take a moment. I need you guys to head over to allphly.com/poll and let your voice be heard. Respondents have a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And look, you spend a lot of time with us. You're here watching a show about the Sixers, shows about the Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, whatever it might be. You want those to be as good as they can possibly be. You want them to be tailored to your interests, be as engaging as they can be. So all you need to do is help yourself out to help us out. Go to allphly.com/poll. Let your voice be heard. And remember, you can get a $100 Amazon gift card if you win.
Guys, we all have some core things in our life that we can't live without. Nice weather, travel coming up with the summer, family. Well, let me tell you about something else that I like, something that actually rewards the way you already spend your money. That's exactly what you get with the Everyday Elite Visa credit card from Trumark Credit Union. We're talking up to 4% cash back on eligible everyday purchases, including gas. And for a limited time, new cardholders also get a 0% introductory APR on purchases for the first 12 months, then a 17.99% APR after that. More about cash back, less catch. Apply today at Trumark.com or stop by any of Trumark Credit Union's 24 branch locations. Rates based on creditworthiness, 4% cash back on eligible purchases. Bonus categories capped annually. Restrictions apply. Visit Trumark.com for details. Insured by the NCUA.
All right, we're back here on the PHLY Sixers Free Agency Frenzy Special. Derek, Kyle, Devon, and Bree. hit the like button, like and subscribe to the show. We appreciate it as always. And we will be with you on Wednesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. the rest of the week, off Friday for the holiday weekend. So make sure you set those alerts where you hit the bell icon when you subscribe to the show.
There you go.
And it'll give you an update on where we are as far as our show times. But definitely 3 p.m. the rest of the week, off on Friday. So make sure you stay tuned and locked in with us here on the PHLY Sixers podcast as we await to find out what's going on with the Sixers, LeBron James, etc. here on this team. Some stuff coming from Jake and his stuff that he's got going on. Jake Fisher, as we talk about, saying that he expects Quentin Grimes to sign a contract in a range of $10 million annually.
After watching him last year, I'm a little less sure that I would give him that. And we were talking about he'd go up to like 15 last year.
But wasn't that right around where wasn't that the offer that allegedly the agent said they were getting from the Sixers, around $10 million, wasn't it?
Well, it was the qualifying plus $100,000, so that was $8.
I think there was a report that they were talking about a 4-year deal, but I think that came from the agent. And
That's what I mean, from the agent.
Yeah. Look.
So that's the same number.
This dude was asking for 25-30 at this time last year. So if we're starting at 10 now, at least we're
in the right ballpark.
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway Jr. signing with the Miami Heat.
So that was a name we had on the list.
That is according to Chris Haynes.
That was a name we had on the list to talk about for the Sixers. He had been linked, along with Mike Conley, to the Miami Heat. Also, Quentin Grimes, name again coming up to the Miami Heat. So that is that's one that's off the table for the Sixers that they could have certainly used his shooting.
Yeah, I felt so. Haynes didn't say what he's expecting him to get. Normally, I'll actually, if it's Shams, it's a fun game for you guys. If Shams ever says someone has signed a 1-year contract and doesn't specify the money, that's a minimum contract. You can take that to the bank. Chris Haynes, I have to wait and see what the situation is here. I was sort of expecting Hardaway would get real money, so I'm not exactly sure if this means he's on a minimum and he just wants to try to potentially ring chase.
Shams has put it out there, agreed to a deal.
Okay,
there you go.
My work here is done. You guys can interpret that for yourselves. That's a fun one.
Would have been a nice pickup for the Sixers with the shooting, though.
It's a great pickup for Miami because they are in pretty desperate need of shooting. They made an upgrade in the star department, but that star needs shooters. Yeah, I think Hardaway would have fit here, had a very good year, and has been a mostly reliable shooter for a while now. So
in a spot where his father also played for the Miami Heat. So Tim Hardaway Jr. headed to the Miami Heat. All right, let's get to some other names that we have not talked about. I did look at it today. A friend of the show, I'm not going to say who it was, but men reached out as we were talking about the small guards. He was putting together the entire free agency, what it should look like for Mike Ganzi in the front office. But we mentioned, or I did to you guys, Holiday and Gabe Vincent yesterday, Aaron Holiday and Gabe Vincent yesterday. Javon Carter was another point guard that had some good minutes for the Orlando Magic when Jalen Suggs was injured. He had to step into a starting role for a little bit, and he played actually pretty well after he was let go from, can't remember what team he was on, maybe Milwaukee. But Javon Carter as a name, Kendrick Williams, or
definitely
Oklahoma City,
I would have some interest
did not pick up his option, so he's out there, and that's what 6'7", 6'8", can play both forward positions for you. I don't know what that money looks like, but
he's also shot the ball.
He did
well,
and he had
the last 3 years on low volume. Admittedly, he's not playing a lot, but I would have interest in him for sure.
And he had a game or two, one game for sure, but then he was right back in the rotation because of how good of a game he had, where Dagnall put him back in there against the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, where he played pretty well. So I would have interest in him if the money was right.
Yeah, I mean, I would put him in a similar bucket as he's slightly older than Dean Wade, but a guy who has played for, obviously up until this year, they were the defending champs. So championship type organization.
Yeah.
Plays the role, will come in, is not going to do much for, just going to play his role as a defender. occasionally hit some spot up threes. Is not going to play make a lot. He'll chip in as a rebounder. Probably going to be cheaper too. So I would definitely look at him as one of your maybe not top priority options, but somebody to potentially maybe you give him a little bit of a pay bump, but we'll see.
How about you, Derek? Any interest in Kendrick Williams?
What were we thinking contract wise?
You tell me.
I don't know.
What would you
That's
give
what
him?
I'm asking. Yeah, I mean, look, you're just so desperate for any kind of forward that sure, there's a little bit of interest. And at least he can shoot the ball a little bit as well. The pickings are relatively slim. Would you like? And he's, I guess Wade is probably or similar age.
Wade's a couple years younger,
yeah.
I think, like 29-ish, and Kenrich, I think, is 31.
So what are you thinking? Like, I feel like Kenrich might come a little cheaper.
2-year deal.
Yeah. It really depends what you can do, because I think the play would be to try to sign multiple people to MLE, because I don't think there's anyone out there that's worth the full thing right now, and using the full MLE with bringing one of Oubre or Grimes back might be difficult. So it might come down to who will sign a shorter and or smaller deal, so you can try to fit in the second one to try to build some depth. That Williams might be more likely than that. I don't know.
No, there you go. $6.5 million for Tim Hardaway is apparently the deal.
Okay. 1 year, 6.5 million. I would have done that.
Yeah, I would have done that.
Yeah.
The 1 year part's almost as important as the 6.5 part.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
But I think that's clearly he wants to try to go down there, play a lot, and I don't know if they'll win a ring, but probably feels like Giannis, Bam, decent chance to be on a good team.
Yeah, why not? Why not? A lot of people saying, well, not a lot. I'll just say a few. D. Craig says biannual exception for Williams would be a solid move. Also,
that's
right
a 5 year starting, I think. Something like that.
Yeah. Also, right above is right there in the chat. We had also saying biannual from HHK says biannual for Kendrick Williams. Kendrick Williams would also be interested in that one. Sovereign says maybe Kendrick Williams. So some Kendrick Williams fans from the Sixers, people here that like him to bring it as an addition to the team. So we'll monitor that one.
On the OKC front, we've had people throw out, would you take a look at trying to trade for Thomas Sorber, who missed all of last year with the ACL after they drafted him, because they did just go out and draft Mara, and obviously they re-signed Hartenstein, so might not be a ton of minutes for him there. I would be interested. I don't know what the cost would be, and I don't know what the urgency level is from OKC if they're just saying we'll keep him and we'll see if he's able to deliver on the promise we thought he had when we drafted him. But a decent name. I don't know that a guy coming off of ACL is who you want being like a primary backup to Joel Embiid. But
you have Bona.
Put the call in for sure. Yeah. We don't want a Dem being the primary backup either. So you got to look at any opportunities to bring in a young and talented big man.
Some non-free agency move from Sham saying the NBA will hold the NBA's Cup Championship game at Butler Hinkey Fieldhouse on December 11th next season.
In Indianapolis.
Yes.
My interest in the NBA Cup has plummeted.
Same. We thought we were going to Vegas, everybody, in December. We don't really care about going to Indianapolis.
No disrespect to Indianapolis.
It'd be easy to get to.
We were thinking about seeing Metallica at the Sphere, man.
Come on.
Devon
I was ready.
He's been listening to the Black Album just constantly since I teased the idea to him.
I was going to wear a wig and everything, man. Fit in.
Hold on. What type of wig would you wear to a Metallica concert? They're not hair metal.
For me, it was going to be in there. All right. Let's get to the Wawa Hoagie Fest hangout here on the Free Agency Show, the special. We appreciate Wawa. As always, go check them out. Your nearest Wawa. It's dinner time, so go get some Wawa as you're watching the show. And you say, you know what? After the show, let's go get some Wawa. Pick up some iced tea, lemon. Me and Bree were like, this is the best one. Right, Bree? This is the best one. So make sure you go check out Wawa. It's Hoagie Fest. As I was in there, the song is playing, right? Hoagie Fest. It's all right there for you, everybody. Go check out Wawa. So with the Wawa Hoagie Fest hangout, a few more names of some players that were not picked up by their team, their options, they let them go. The Nets, going to the Nets here. We've talked about Ochai Agbaji, the lottery pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers a few years ago while Mike Gansey was in Cleveland. And also Jalen Wilson, the second-round pick from the Brooklyn Nets from Kansas a few years back as well. Decent size for both of these.
How dare you leave out Zaire Williams?
Guard wings. Well, we talked about him yesterday.
That's true.
So, just mentioning the two latest ones. So, Agbaji, Jalen Wilson, and Zaire Williams. Any interest at all on some minimum deals for any of these young players, especially when we look at the two-way stuff here for the Sixers, which we have no news on those as of yet?
Yeah.
Agbaji, Wilson, Williams.
Yeah, I'm not like it's
It's
as I'm
way
trying to
down
wait.
the
I was
list.
gonna say as I'm trying to
Devon's out here.
figure out.
What has happened to free agency? We're talking about minimum
As
salary
we're trying
contracts
to dig
on the
on
first
like
hour.
who are they gonna sign with the mid level. I'm not really thinking about my two-way guys at this point, and like the Sixers need to. I
do.
hope that their deeper bench front office guys are lining up those names and thinking about that. But I can't have the opening hour of free agency turn into
It really has
to me
deteriorated.
talking myself into boy. Abaji that's a breakout candidate.
Yeah,
on
I
a
know
two-way.
Jalen Wilson only shot 39% from the field, but the tools. Yeah, it's
There
we're
you
down
go.
bad.
That's
We're
where we
down
are,
bad.
everybody.
It's
That's
tough.
where we are. We've had some frenzy already with what? 3 things so far on the show?
So here's a fun one. Chris Haynes, sources. LeBron James will be patient and open-minded, selecting his next destination. But the priority is having a realistic chance at competing for a championship. He remains committed to playing at the highest level.
Is he going to hold up free agency here?
Boy, will
He
he.
still has the power. So is he going to hold up free agency again?
Boy, will he.
All right.
Because here's the thing. If you're a team that has access to the mid-level and any realistic chance to sign LeBron, and I say realistic, not every team that has access to that is going to convince LeBron. But if you're a good team that can get a meeting, you have to at least take it. You're not going to be like,
Right.
let me prioritize some like 32-year-old role player over LeBron James.
Yes.
So of course it's going to slow some things down. It's not going to slow everything down, but I think the teams that know they're in the mix largely probably already know. I think this is a dog and pony show. Put it that way.
Are you saying LeBron might like the attention that comes with being a free
No.
agent?
And by the way, I think the funniest outcome, aside from the whole Expendables thing, is the passive aggressiveness of LeBron on a team with Jimmy Butler. Like that, those two personality wise are like oceans apart. Big time competitors, both
Yes.
of them. But some of the stuff internally, I would be fascinated how those two get along.
And I also couldn't wait to find out what Yaxel says that will piss off.
I wasn't
LeBron
even thinking
too.
about him.
He's already done so with.
He's pissing
Jimmy
off
Butler.
Draymond. He's like, we might have to bring back hazing. It's going to be a fun season.
It does
in
feel
Golden
like though
State.
if they sign LeBron, then they're gonna try to move Jimmy's contract right into a player that can play. It seems like those two sort of go
Well,
hand
I
in hand
mean,
a little
Jimmy will be back by mid-season.
bit. Yeah.
If you have LeBron, Steph,
Think you can
Draymond.
tread water long enough?
Somebody threw this question to me before we get to these super chats. Speaking of the Warriors, would anyone, the contract makes it so you would have to use the mid-level. Would anyone take the gamble on Moses Moody knowing that he had a patellar tendon tear, I believe, and surgery was in like late March?
Yeah.
Do you like Moses Moody enough that you'd say, add him to my roster knowing that he probably is not going to play for a while?
I like him enough. Coming off that injury, I would. I mean, you don't have this. You may not have this option if it's put in front of you right there. To wait and see what he looks like coming back. But his shooting was really good last season,
Mm-hmm.
and he has that positional size that you want at the shooting guard position, or just as a wing in general. that I wouldn't have a problem with Moses Moody. He did sign his extension. I don't know what his contract looks like, but he is a player that I do like. So I would have some interest in him.
12.5 mil.
How many years?
2 years left.
Which is the problem in a lot of, because that's basically your mid-level signing to acquire him, which means that you're effectively using the mid-level to acquire a guy who's not going to be able to play until make up a date, right? He did not get surgery until late March, so he's not playing at the start of the year. I don't know when he would play, but
he is, because he's you might look at him and say like, he's more of a 2 guard. He's got a 7'1" wingspan. Like, I think he can defend up, which is key when you already have 3 guards under contract. And that shooting is like, he's developed into a pretty good shooter. He was always solid.
Yeah.
I think he was better than solid last year, and upped his volume a little bit too. And he's young enough where he fits timelines. He can help you next year if he's able to come back, and he can be around for a little longer. I'd have, like, if you're talking about a mid-level type, I would have some interest. The problem is at 12.5, it would be pretty tough. You might be able to fit one of Kelly or Quentin to come back, because you're going to need some depth if that is your big move, a guy who's not going to play for a chunk of the year.
That's basically running it back until he can return, which is not going to sit well with most people.
It's not, but you're also not getting many 24-year-olds with your mid-level.
Yeah.
All right, that's the Wawa here on a Tuesday Hoagie Fest Hangout presented by Wawa. Go check out Wawa as you're heading home from work and you want to sit down and wait for things to happen with free agency. Get yourself a great sandwich because it is Hoagie Fest time. Grab yourself, again, a Wawa iced tea. The lemon is the best. Chocolate chip cookie, whatever else you want to get there while you're at Wawa. That's my menu.
Darkness is already in the chat. Get out the tank helmets. It's over. Pack it in. Gansey, fraud. Jameer, not a real Philly guy. Chester guy.
Chester guy.
He said that, not me.
He did.
That's a callback.
He did.
Just to be clear.
All right, we have a bunch of super chats still that we need to get to. Schoolboy Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beat, says we will be 10th, maybe 12th seed or bottom of the league.
Okay, then you got a 5-point whatever chance at a number 1 pick.
There you go.
Let's go.
And you still have Max D and Edge coming.
And then we will bring out the tank helmets if that happens. And we will
Give me that 10%
about,
chance.
Unfortunately, we'll be talking about a draft class that nobody is excited about. Yeah. So there's that.
All right, Davon continues. Whoa there, Kyle. I'm a pretty large guy in the quotes there.
What's that in reference to?
It's from the Wawa.
Oh, okay.
Because I like my classic size hoagie. I'm a bigger person. I would like a bigger sandwich. So I get the classic size.
He's got to have some comment now that he can't talk about your juicy
without
beef.
the seasoned beef. He's got the juicy
beef. Shadow Steve says, any interest for Taurean Prince on the vet minimum, and I hope they get Mamu with the mid-level. Good fit because he can play the 4 and the 5, play center when Embiid sits. Shadow Steve, thank you for the super chat. Any interest in Taurean Prince? We talked a lot about Mamu. We can get to him, but Taurean Prince?
People are crashing out. I'm getting Discord messages from people who are just losing their absolute mind. Look at this.
About them not doing anything?
We have a SpongeBob meme of Gansey asleep in bed. Like, I mean, I'm not a huge Taurean Prince guy, but on a minimum, like, sure. And Mamu, we've talked about a good bit at this point.
Yeah. I like how he's considered like versatile to play 4 and a 5. And by versatile, I guess that means he can't defend either. But I do think between the rebounding and the shooting, you can put him at either spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I wrote about this a little bit today. The worry I have with Mamu is that there's some smoke and mirrors to the they were really good with him on the court this year, because that's a team that can play around his weaknesses defensively a little bit, because they have a bunch of big athletes, and like Scotty Barnes, an all defense level guy. CMB was a great defender as a rookie. Barrett, for his issues, is a big athlete who can defend a little bit. So they just have a lot of guys who can insulate someone like him. So on paper, it's like, they won a lot of minutes with him playing center or just in general. I don't know. I would like him. I think he's one of the better options, but I think that says a lot about the options is what I would say.
Be nice if this stuff happened during our free agency frenzy show.
Boy,
that
would
be
it.
Great. Brian Pump.
The madness.
The madness continues with B Pump. I'll trade him B plus a first for DeAndre Ayton. Don't care. Get him out of here.
Come on.
No, thank you, Pump.
Can
Jack
we be
Reacher.
serious?
I'm absolutely stunned that Brian Pumper is taking one topic and repeatedly super chatting about it. That is so out of character for him.
Jack Reacher, in your educated opinions, how do the combos go with Maxey regarding 70% of the cap effectively being wasted on George and Embiid, and what are his thoughts?
I don't think we've reached a point where he's upset. I think if they continue to spin their wheels a little bit, he might get there.
I think two things. I think, first of all, I think Maxey probably views them as people, not as cap figures, which I think a lot of fans right now are struggling to do so. But like he's spent his whole career with Joel. He spent a good chunk of time with Paul. And I think athletes have a little more understanding when other athletes get injured. Also, like I think he's probably frustrated that he hasn't been healthy each of the end of the last two seasons and figures, probably blames his circumstance for part of their struggles in the second round. So clearly I think he wants to compete at a high level. If that doesn't happen, he could get frustrated about that. But I think he's probably a little more nuanced than like, we tied up 70% of our cap to these two bozos and we can't compete because of that.
I just want to earmark right now, in case this comes to fruition, we have someone in the chat named Stuart who says, tie Jerome to Philly, little birdie.
All right, Stu.
Just jotting that
We
down.
will
We're
track
about
it.
an hour 51 into the show. We will revisit this if Stuart, you will get your just due if that comes to fruition.
And that's a backup guard. That's a Cleveland guy that Mike Gansey.
This is going to be like the Maury Rockets that you got PJ Tucker,
find any
Daniel House,
Cleveland guy.
Montrezl Harrell, anybody who was in Cleveland at any point.
Yep.
Come on down.
Stu, we got you locked in just in case that
And
happens.
by the way, he's on like 9.2 this year, 9.6 player option next year.
So again, because we're talking about players like Ty Jerome and Moses Moody, you can now use that mid-level exception to acquire a player into a trade. You can basically absorb their salary into it, which is how the Sixers would complete most of these.
Yeah, so it would be the 9.2 into your mid-level, whatever you have to send to the Grizzlies to make that happen. And then you would have six-ish, right around $6 million left of the non-taxpayer MLE after that.
So I guess, do we trust Stu enough where we can text our people and be like, hey, I have a source telling me that he is on his way to Philadelphia. Can you confirm
Stu,
that?
a lot is on the line for you here. You're either going to be one of the great legends in PHLY history.
I hope you're right. I'm not sure if I trust you enough to put my reputation on the line, but we'll see.
That's Stu's reputation.
I will keep my ear to the ground.
We appreciate that, Stu. Thank you so much. We continue with the super chats from Davon, Hinkie, Colangelo, Brand, Maury, Gansey, common denominator, Harris, looking like the Dave Chappelle meme, clutching the money, Scrooge in the face, and all that stuff from the.
So I'm trying to remember, is that the sketch where he somehow gets married to Oprah?
Yes.
Is that the one?
With the robe and the. Did he have a crown on as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the GIF. I'm just trying to remember the exact
Yeah.
scene or sketch it was from.
Yeah.
I think it was the Oprah
Common
one.
denominator, Harris.
Do we have a helicopter sound to play over the?
Who else do we have here? We got Blacklist OTA saying, is there any world where we use the James Harden strategy of convincing Paul George to decline his option next year, extend a year, cut his AAV in half?
Okay, but then you get Paul George for another year.
Yeah, I don't think we would want to be in the Paul George business at that point.
If you go through another 12 months of Paul George and you've only got 1 year and 50 whatever million left, would you want 2 years at 25 per instead? I don't think I would.
I would not.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, I think I'd rather have him on the expire. I mean, I think it's at least a fair question.
It's a fair question, but again, the reason that the Cavs are doing that is because they're over the second apron and they want to stay under that, so they have more transactions available to them. The Sixers are not in that spot; they will not be a second apron team. Yeah. So I just don't think you're gaining as much by doing that. I'd rather just have it expire. Appreciate that super chat. We got Keyshawn, Washington. Keyshawn.
This is now I'm triggered.
Imagine them signing 2 free agents, former Sixers.
12 and 25.
You know they're part of the show when they only give jersey numbers. 12 and 25. Kyle, have at it.
I like that you guys are paying to do my trolling for me. I love it.
So for anybody who missed the biannual Ben Simmons Crybaby magazine feature, came out and didn't really take any kind of accountability for some of the worst moments of his career.
Man.
Well, so the interviewer tried to be like, well, he spoke about it jokingly. But then there are other parts of the interview where he got asked about similar subjects and changed his answer depending on the time it was asked. And so it's like anybody taking this guy seriously at this point is... I can't believe he's still convincing people to write the article at this point.
I mean, it gets attention, so why would you not?
I guess.
And the fishing thing has become a big story around him. So, yeah.
The 12 thing would almost be more insulting to people, although he's at least a functional basketball player.
No, but you'd actually have to use a real contract for him, too.
But it doesn't seem like he's going back to Detroit, which I was surprised at how quickly they were like, he seems on the out.
A little bit there.
So I guess pull back the curtain a little bit. We just did this thing where we sort of had like a Festivus about our coworkers. And literally the thing that Kyle complained about me for was that I won't stop trolling him about bringing Ben Simmons back. So you guys doing this, I appreciate you so much.
So by the way, Jake Fisher just reported the specific draft picks going to the Clippers in the Kawhi deal. 2031 and 2033 unprotected firsts. 2030 and 2033 seconds, and then a first-round swap in 27, so next year, which I don't think that'll be super valuable, but I guess you never know. So there you have it. So yeah, enjoy the open seas, Benny.
Yeah. I guess if you would have had your preference for the Clippers, you would have preferred that swap to be a little farther down the line.
Yeah.
Even still, like, obviously Kawhi has health concerns. You never know. Having that as a just in case is valuable, but probably not going to actually swap.
Some not breaking news, but Sixers news. Kelly Oubre, according to Kelly Iko from Yahoo Sports, saying free agent wing Kelly Oubre Jr. plans to meet with the Sixers, Pacers, as we mentioned, Blazers, and Lakers, among others. Sources tell Yahoo Sports.
What are the Blazers?
Blazers and Lakers outside of the Sixers and the Pacers, which we've talked about.
Blazers are very weird.
I'm trying to get a handle on whatever the heck it is.
And Devon said it earlier, but I'm just not sure I'm picking up what they're trying to
No clue. No clue. So, again, we talked about the Ja Morant trade. Morant, Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, which they've already come out and said, at least reportedly, that they're keeping Drew Holiday. They're not trading him. Scoot Henderson is a combo guard there as well. So what are they doing? They have 4 point guards right there, or at least 2 that can play combo, but they have 4 guards, which, look, you want a 4-guard rotation, but 3 of them are worthy of, all 4 of them are worthy of starting. I don't know what they're doing. And then they bring back Robert Williams at $44 million over 3 years, but the coach has to get a 1-year guarantee and team options on year 2 and 3 along the life of his contract. Yeah. What is happening?
If we're actually talking about, to Keyshawn's point, if you're bringing back former Sixers, maybe the only one that people liked that I would even consider is Thibault. Just because I think he's probably out there for cheap.
Yeah.
I would at least kick the tires on that. Like, good fit in the scheme that they're going to play. No thank you to 12, and I will say no more about the other guy. Sixers Voldemort. Get him out of here.
Jack Reacher. Well, first, Bree, are we going to overtime? No? All right. First, we have Jack Reacher saying do massive expirings even have real value in the CBA. I don't think they do.
Yeah. I mean, they do if you want to take on a reclamation project like John Morant. Like,
Yeah.
the Blazers just use expirings to get a guy who was at least once considered a star. They don't have as much value as they used to, but I do think we're at kind of like a weird point in the NBA where they're changing almost everything about how transactions happen in the sport, from aprons to redoing the lottery odds to everything. And I think there's going to be a bit of a recalibration. Like, I think you're going to see a lot of players with big contracts that are getting moved that in prior CBAs would be, if not untouchable, at least like, oh, we'll let Tim Duncan retire as a Spur because he's meant so much to the franchise. Nowadays, like, those big contracts, you don't have like retirement tours. So I think it's going to be interesting. But I think he's talking about like us not wanting to do the James Harden thing. I don't think we're doing that because we want to use his expiring contract as much as we just want to get the contract off the books 1 year earlier.
And just reset or at least move toward a reset instead of pushing that clock back into the distance. I agree. Like if there's a good opportunity for a somebody who's miscast somewhere or might fit better with Max, yeah, sure. But I think the point is fair.
Larry Love running super chats here. Let's start with the LeBron James one, Bree. LeBron will probably go to the Clippers or the Heat. Heat have been brought up. Clippers have not been brought up.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Clippers doesn't make much sense to me.
I'd be shocked if he went to.
Yeah, like I think he wants to either win or have a reunion where he's already played or home.
And the report,
Cavs, Miami.
The report is about happiness and not money this time around.
Yeah.
Oh, the money's not bad either.
A couple extra zeros never hurt anyone.
I actually was explaining to my sister the concept of a mid-level exception. She's like, they call it a mid-level and you make $15 million. And I was like, yeah, but the guys at the highest end are making like way more than that. So it's actually misleading. It's not a mid-level. It's
lower level. Right.
It's a very high level for almost every other person in the universe, not for NBA players.
Larry Love continues. I like Marvin Bagley or Mo Wagner. Cheap, reasonable.
We didn't bring
contracts.
him up, but he's someone that, as a veteran backup big, I would have some interest in. Yeah, has shot it at times in the past.
And he will be a year removed from the ACL injury.
Yeah, so hopefully is upright and mobile again, but got to wait and see on that.
One report around him had the Nets interested in Mo Wagner. So if Day'Ron Sharpe is going to be the starting center, who is their backup big, maybe they do go get a veteran backup big. Mitchell Robinson also at least linked to Brooklyn going after Mitchell Robinson. What do you have on Bagley? I
would go Wagner over Bagley. I've just never been a huge Bagley supporter. The shot is still not exactly something you would want. I would roll the dice on Wagner before I would Bagley.
You trust Wagner as a 5, though, as a premium backup player behind Embiid or
No, we're not going to associate the words premium with Mo Wagner.
No, absolutely not. I mean, but he's going to be between those two.
I think Wagner's going to cost more, so I get where you're coming from in that perspective. But I do trust him more. And like I said earlier, I want a little bit of scheme diversity. And even though he doesn't shoot the ball great, I think it's at least within him where he can make those shots. Neither are at the top of my list, though.
He might be a crowd favorite when good things happen because he is an animated guy.
He is a talker. He is a talker.
Yes, he is.
It's funny, too, because I feel like Franz is not that way.
Yeah,
and you would think that would be a familial, like they came up in, similar situations, whatever, and like you inherit some of that, but not anywhere near as animated. Mo Wagner also just looks like a 80s movie villain.
Yes, he does.
Like he's the guy who shows up at a ski lodge.
Die Hard.
You're going down. Like that's the energy he projects.
Yes, he is.
And he lives up to that.
Well, and after having Boban, we've got to carry that tradition.
Why not? All right, Larry says.
Actual movie star in that case.
Larry keeps it going. This team won't go over the cap, will it?
The cap? They're already over the cap. I think he's talking about the tax. Look.
Unlikely.
The apron.
I would guess they're going to end up this free agency period within tax ducking range. Just a hunch.
All right, keep it going.
This one is for Derek specifically. Look at this.
Uh-oh.
Can we trade Sixers fans, Derek? We should trade a bundle of them to Sacramento for a 2078. Well, that's illegal. A 2078 second round pick. These guys were spoiled. I grew up watching the freaking Spoon. 20 pump fakes in 20 seconds.
You and me both. No, you can only trade fans for draft picks up to 7 years in the future. Don't be ridiculous.
Okay, yeah. So 2033 we're talking about.
I don't like to shame fans. Like, I think for the most part, we all grieve in different ways. And if you are frustrated and sick of watching this era of basketball, I get it. I just take it for, like, my perspective is always like, what's the most pragmatic way from A to B? And I don't think that's trading draft picks.
That's it. I'm open to lots of possibilities.
And I'm not going to shame anyone who's like, I want to ride this Embiid era to the end and give him a chance to craft a magical redemption story. I get that perspective too.
Theo said, let's get Pump in that trade. Man, Pump getting thrown under the bus. I'm gonna regret this the moment I say. Oh no!
I missed Pumper a little bit in like the 10 or so months that he was not a part of this show.
There's a term for this. It's called Stockholm syndrome. No, look, we love having all types around here. We have people who wildly disagree with us, who watch the show all the time. I mean, our guy Phil W has been here for years, and we started our relationship off him calling us like total bozos for Kelly Oubre opinions and whatnot. And I think we've moved off of those. Like, things change. So this is we have more people around these times a year, right? Free agency, draft, things like that. You're not always going to agree with us, but you're all part of the family as long as you come in and you're not causing problems.
X6 in the chat says, what about Embiid to OKC for Chet and some firsts?
Chet and some firsts?
What? No. You're overreacting to one poor series from Chet in a big way.
That is never going to happen.
I would do that in a second, though.
Oh, where do I sign? Love you, Joel, as a player, person, all that. Goodbye.
Yep.
See, and people get on us. They're like, "Oh, there's no trade that you guys will actually trade Embiid for." Nope,
I'd do it in 2 seconds for that one.
Unfortunately,
that's a 0.0. Well, not zero. It's never zero. Let's give it a 0.1%.
I think that specific trade might actually be a 0.
To Philadelphia, just Philadelphia mentions here with these two that I'm about to talk about. From ESPN, Dave McMenamin saying that the Lakers have discussed 12 as a potential free agent target. I don't know how that would work. Los Angeles.
Are the Lakers just talking to every free agent?
Yes.
They're connected to Walker Kessler, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, Rui, who's their pending free agent.
Yep.
Who else was out there in the reports for the Lakers? I get it. People want to play for the Lakers generally.
Well, and they've got some room now, too.
Yeah, and they got cap space, so they'll be connected to lots of people.
And then John Krasinski, Delaware native, Bones Highland, who is a free agent, seems like he's agreed to a return to Minnesota next season.
I think that was on a minimum, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to John Kay, one of the great team-specific reporters. He's been covering the Wolves.
One of the great people, too. I
was going to say, I've never heard anyone say a bad word about that guy, and if they have, you are an outlier on that front. He does a great job up there.
So that's all right now. Again, it's a frenzy, everybody.
Yeah, it's a frenzy.
It's all happening.
Of nothing.
It's all happening.
There's
right
a
now.
Nathan for You
Nothing.
episode where he's like, I got you this, and he pulls a thing off, and there's just nothing there. That's congratulations, Adam Silver. You ruined everything. Everything that was good
what we're getting.
Sucks. Everything that you introduced also sucks.
Well, and you know that the notifications going to come in
The
like
second
3 a.m.
we're done. No, it's actually, I'll be half the exact midpoint between our office and my house. And there's going to be a text notification. The Sixers signed somebody.
Well,
That's my prediction.
I guess that's settled then. We got to go to the brewery next door for a beverage or two just to make sure we're not in the car.
I might be thrown in jail for that one, but we'll see. We shall see. Any final thoughts here, fellas?
That this was another disappointing start to free agency.
We're definitely, next year, we are not calling it frenzy. Because I think free agency frenzy just jinxes it. We got to call it free agency nap time, and then maybe we'll have better luck.
The crazy thing is it was like the previous 48 hours were a frenzy, and then we actually get the free agency, and it's crickets.
nothing.
It never fails.
Maybe next year's 2-hour live show's got to be at like noon the day before. I don't know.
It's either that or we got to turn into like Kai Cenat and just stream all hours of the day. And so then we're always reacting. We're always live.
Oh, just last one. So I guess I'll ask you guys this last one. Maybe we'll have more on this tomorrow at 3 p.m. when we have our show. But Jalen Duren, how things have turned for him in Detroit.
What happened?
Where we thought he was a lock after an all-NBA season and things looked really good, and how things were he was going to sign his extension, the max extension, off of his rookie deal. Now we're seeing that Jake Fisher's talking about him. He might want to go and play for the Boston Celtics. The Lakers have been brought up. The Sacramento Kings, it was so bad.
They're going to sign Kessler and Jalen Duren somehow.
Yes, they will.
Come on, man.
Sacramento, things have been so bad that the Kings and Jalen Duren might like
Sam
each
Amick,
other.
well-respected reporter
Right.
out there, has reported about that.
And then
quite a bit.
Sabonis might be a part of that, where he goes to Detroit. So the latest being the Boston Celtics. Would that have to include another one that has really blown up, the Jaylen Brown part of it, where that's all interesting and weird as well. So Jalen Duren, just in general, though, how things have turned from where we thought he was going to get a lock extension to stay in Detroit, where it appears that more than likely he will not be in Detroit.
So would I want to give Jalen Duren a max deal after that playoff run? Hell no. Are your options good if you're just like letting him figure out his sign and trade situation? Also, no. It's a really and I think if you had any inclination, any idea that this was heading this way, I'm even more confused by the beef stew trade. Like, you're running out of front court depth in a hurry. Which is not to say if you have beef stew, it's like, yeah, whatever, just send Jalen Duren to the moon. But at least you have a couple guys there. And so, if it's a Sacramento situation, you don't feel like, man, we have to take Sabonis back, because
right.
I don't think Sabonis fits how they want to play and what they do. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out. I would be leery after that playoff run, but would not be good to lose him. He had a really good year.
It is so weird for a guy to be like in the most improved player race. He was all NBA third team, right? All-star. And then after the best season of his career, by far,
yeah,
it doesn't seem like the team wants to bring him back or is making any real concerted effort to do so. And the way you get to that point is you average 10 points and 8 rebounds over a 14-game playoff stint. He was really bad in the playoffs.
Really bad.
And, you would love to say that was just one bad run, his first real extended run.
Last playoffs, well, it was only first round. But
that's why I said extended. I caught myself.
That's fair.
But there's just a sneaking suspicion that, in the playoffs, what he does might not translate. And certainly, if you were talking about a smaller number, you look past it. But at a max number, it's going to be tough.
Also, when you mentioned Memphis in your story, make sure everybody go to allphly.com again and check out the written content. Getting ready for free agency with the Sixers from Derek and Kyle at allphly.com. Still getting ready. Did you have any trade targets?
No, I went mostly from flexibility. Like, here's what you can do. Great thing about it is all that salary cap details
hasn't changed at all.
Hasn't changed. So if you haven't read it, go check it out.
All right, I have an unheralded player I want to throw at you guys before we get out of here.
Unheralded as far as the trade?
No, free agent.
Oh, okay.
Jett Howard. I couldn't get through saying his name without laughing.
You can't yell at me for the whole Ben Simmons thing, because you're the same You're the same way, Kyle. We are both trolls at heart.
Who was I talking to earlier in the chat, Bree, that was talking about Jett Howard? Who is that we were going back and forth? And I said, that's going to be the first one that they signed.
Devon, shot 37% from 3 last year.
It was Larry. Larry and I were talking. Of course, Derek is in there with Jett Howard, Code Ran, and between the unseen, they better not do that.
I mean, there's been no actual report, right?
No, but he would be the first one. Emergency pod by myself. You guys don't even have to just cue it up, and I got it. Let's rock and roll for 25 minutes.
Put the ether beat on in the background. Listen, if it's a minimum, as much as it would drive Devon insane,
I could see that. If it's a minimum.
That's fine, because you're talking about a guy who they declined his 4th year, it's a reclamation type project, and finally shot the ball last year. And if it's just if he's just that size and shoots, that's an NBA role player. Unfortunately, we have, scant evidence that he's that guy. So I had to get that one in. You guys love to do the Ben Simmons thing to me. So every once in a while, I still got to throw out the Jet Howard for you.
Wait, wasn't DeAndre Jordan the first move announced in free agency 2 of the last 3 years? I feel like this happened.
But he was close, but I don't think he was this year.
Oh,
it was
okay.
There was some. It was Deng was the first guy this year, which is not quite as funny, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah. Jet Howard is going to be a Sixer. It.
Hey, while we're here, how much influence do we think our guy Tim Bontemps has on the Hawks' plans and free agency? I guess our opportunity to get him on the show is now non-existent at this point.
That's true.
Has that been officially announced?
No, and I don't want to jinx it either, so let me knock on some wood. But I feel
good luck to him.
Let's say I feel pretty confident it's going to get done. So we'll see what happens there. I also just don't know what that role is going to look like. Maybe you'll have one of those ridiculous Thunder job titles where it's director of intelligence and
Vince
whatever.
Rosman. Yeah. So does this mean I wonder who's going to take over the straw poll now? Is that just dead? And are Kyle and I still going to be involved? These are the questions that matter.
If it goes away, that means that we were participants in the final NBA MVP straw poll. That's actually it became a kind of controversial thing because I know people gave Bontemps grief. You ruined the MVP race because people just basically go with the herd once it gets late in the year after it's clear that. So I don't know.
I'm going to miss Tim. Tim was around a lot. Got to enjoy Tim.
All right.
Well, now we have a friend, hopefully, knock on wood, in the front office.
There you go. Well, just don't break any Hawks news, because then people will be like, there you go. So
Tim
Bontemps knows a lot of people, including a lot of people at a very prominent sports network.
Absolutely.
All right, we should go because
if we get home
11 minutes after we go off the air, something will happen.
Guess I'm not going to the market or anything tonight.
No.
Nah.
I got family members texting me, when are you done? Not really ever done.
No.
Not during this period, unfortunately.
Let's get to the world famous on the free agency frenzy, lack of frenzy, roll call.
The free agency, who was it in there that said free agents? Just type in free agency, Bree, and bring up some of these. It was, scroll to the bottom, please.
I think I know
free agency. Oh, no, it was William Bucher said free agency normal Tuesday. That's what we should have called it. Oh, that one just hit me.
If we would have done a 3 p.m. show, there would have been some action tonight.
Yeah, if we did our regular hour midday, it would have been.
There's just so much happened today, and then we get on the air, and it's freaking crickets.
Classic. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Bree, can you pull up all our super chatters today? I know Larry Love threw a ton at us. Be pumped, pump it up.
Pump it up.
Riaz, Jack Reacher, Taj, Schoolboy, Vince Pellegrini, Jack Reacher again, Reardon, Shadow Steve. Who else?
A lot of people.
Blacklist, X6, and Keyshawn, who might be banned for me for a bit for bringing up 12 and 25 in one chat. But thank you, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Adam Silver, go to hell is my first roll call of the day. Otherwise, thank you also, though, to the good fella, to Grant the Sixers fan, to That's Real, to Phil Evans, to Fuzzy 007,
Fuzzy,
big MF Doom fan in the chat. Thank you to Nerd 2619, Darkness.
Turn the lights down for the frenzy.
Thank you, Darkness. Thank you, Julius, Brian Small, Jay the Jungle, AA Ron, Cenobite Mayor, Coleman Potts, John Doe, Shadow Steve again, X-Man, Theo, Hedfa, Hybrid Pie, Burning Sky.
Burning Sky.
You know what they say, red sky at night, sailors to light. Red sky in morning, sailors take warning. Always remember that if you're going out on a boat. Right. Gregory Wong, Kel Knows Ball, Philly Reddick, Trayvon Hill, Tim Keating. Rapid. Is that Rapid Foster or Rapid Faster?
Rapid Faster.
It could go either way. Could be the last name or it could be, the synonyms. E-Train, Morty Duke, Rookie Rook, Juice, Philly Boy.
Juice.
Jack Reacher, who, by the way, Juice was, I think Juice commented on one of our recent videos and was a big proponent of Rui, that he's such a good shooter that you worry about the rebounding elsewhere if you can get him. I tend to agree with that. I think if they could get Rui on the mid-level,
I'd be fine with that.
I would be down with that. Thank you to Philly Star 33, Terrence Knights, Martian Lynch, Tony Tones, Big Mac, Philly Reddick. The Question, Mr. Midrange, Habib, Jose Ruiz, Power Duster, Green Eyed Bandit, Kevin Hips, Ray Need, Joe 76, Between and Unseen. Jesse Bond, Fresh Prince 267. Thank you to my girl Nona. Thank you to Mom's Grandchildren, Jazz, Jess, Hedfa, J-Dub 215, Phil W, Ty Black, RC Thompson, SB Cole, Mellow 3 Point, Zach D, Philly Seeker, William Bucher, who has officially coined next year's show Free Agency Normal Tuesday. Eugene Ross, Neef Buck, Maple, Yams, Lee Nguyen, Table Manners, Traveling Journo, Nathan, Arizona Ron, Salvatore, Flying Zebra, Weebay. Thank you, all of you who were here. If I didn't see it, Norma Green in here. Brian Knight is in here. Vincent James in here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If I didn't see you, it's just a lot of work to read. Now, it's tough for us people who didn't go to the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids who don't read good. But we still do the show every day. We have a lot of fun. We'll be back tomorrow at 3. Got 2 more shows, holiday week, so we have the day off on Friday. So come back tomorrow. Presumably the Sixers will have done something. Yep. If they do something tonight, emergency pod will most likely happen.
Yes, it will.
We'll have articles on allphly.com.
It'll happen while we're in the market.
Best thing you guys can do for us. The Great Bogus is here.
Great Bogus.
Sandman is here, of course.
Bring me a dream of some free agent signings or some trades or something.
We got Josh, Brick Money, a few other people in here. We got lots of people in here. Guys, the best thing you can do for this show and this company, just hit the thumbs up button on the way out. It makes a big difference for us and PHLY as a whole. It says thank you to super producer Bree, our president of basketball operations, who's always holding it down for us. You can also hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time that this show goes live.
Including emergency pods.
Which there will
that
be
is
some
right.
of.
There will be some at some point. I can't promise when. I can't promise who. But there will be an emergency pod at some point. Hello to Elliot all the way in Israel, apparently.
Nice.
Don't see many people from there checking in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Until next time, stay safe. Take care of one another. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.